it's me, Bussy, and welcome back to Hat or Rat. Here we are, not even 6 months after Lawrence Chaney was crowned, we are taking another trip across the pond to see what our UK queens have to offer. The cast of RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 3 was just announced, and there's already enough tea to fill a cuppa. There's been a heated debate online about Victoria Scone's casting, who is making history as the first cisgendered female competitor to ever be cast on Drag Race. Queens like Kase and Trinity K. Bonet have called out the diversity, or lack thereof, of the cast. In Charity Kase, one of the other new queens has posted an apology on Twitter concerning, as they put it, disgusting and offensive language used in their past. So we'll be breaking all that down and taking a peek at each queen's promo look, as well as looking through their Instagram to see if we can find their out of drag photos as well. Now, let's get started. First up, how about some scones with our tea? Victoria lets us know in her Meet the Queens interview she is an AFAB drag queen, meaning she is assigned female at birth. However, she does clarify that while AFAB is an important acronym to use while discussing diversity in drag, she prefers to just be called a drag queen. And as I mentioned, this casting decision was met with a little bit of tension online, with some people going as far to make YouTube videos talking about why they don't support her. But instead of lingering on that negativity, I want to go ahead and read a tweet from Denali, who worded my feelings on the situation perfectly. If you have a problem with this, you are not a fan of drag, nor have seen drag in a club over the past few decades, and have an antiquated, misogynistic, and limited view on what drag is and what drag can be. Congrats, Victoria Scone. Again, my opinion is that all drag is valid. At the end of the day, if you can hold my attention as a performer, I don't care how you identify. And concerning Victoria's own thoughts doing drag, in an interview with the BBC, she said, "To gatekeep who performs drag seems so backwards to me. As queer people, we are oppressed and marginalized. So why would we continue to do that within our own community?" Now, a bit on her look. She describes herself as Cardiff's camp cabaret disco diva. She's giving me like scone oozing in honey. I love the giant hat that she's got on, and the silhouette in general that she's created is really beautiful. She definitely gets a hat from me. And I found this transformation video on her profile, which is incredible. And here's some of her looks from Instagram, proving she's extremely versatile in drag and knows her way around a makeup brush. Next up, a queen so nice, they cast her twice. It's Veronica Green. As you remember, Miss Green was disqualified from season 2 due to a positive COVID test, but Rue left her with an open invitation to return to season 3, and thankfully she's accepted it. Or being held hostage by the contract. Veronica, blink twice if you're okay. Just kidding. I'm sure she's honored to compete, but really blink twice if you're okay. Okay, on a real note, I am really excited to see how she's going to treat season 3, because as she pointed out on her Instagram, she's the first queen to return to the competition with a challenge win under her belt, which did kind of leave me wondering, is that an advantage or a disadvantage? Because on one hand, everything is still super fresh to her, and she has the benefit of applying what she learned from season 2 to season 3. But on the other hand, that could cause her to underestimate the challenges and difficulties of this next season. One thing I thought was really funny in her interview was she's using her little catchphrase of going from Gollum to gorgeous. But Miss Veronica, I have one question for you. Can you explain this photo? Anyways, I've really grown quite the appreciation for this queen, and I think she looks gorgeous in her promo shoot. She said in an interview with metro.co.uk that the dress actually belongs to her sister. It was her prom dress when she was 16, and it's special to her because her mother made it. And I'm sure both her sister and her mom are proud because she looks hot in this dress. Next up, Scarlett. Harlett. It is so crazy to me that with Scarlett being the relatively popular name that it is, we only had one in the entire 13 season history of US Drag Race. And now almost every international franchise has one. She says in her Meet the Queens interview that she is cheeky, classic, and common as hell. And concerning the look, I am gooped and gagged. She's giving me like classic pageant queen who's a part of the royal family, but from the future. Like, I really just love that red sash she has going across her body. This look is red. And concerning Scarlett's out of drag persona, I had to check his age because I was like, girl, he looks 16. And turns out he's 27. Girl, drop the skincare routine. Anyways, before I send myself into a depression spiral, let's go ahead and take a look up at the next queen, River Medway. Wow. These queens spent some serious coin on their promo looks, and it shows. River is bodied, wigged, beat, and winged, looking like a true queen, or should I say monarch. Fun fact, in her Meet the Queen interview, we learned that she is 50% British white and 50% Singaporean. Also, this has got to be the youngest looking cast ever, or I'm just getting old. I just checked, she is 22, and there's 2 other queens in the cast who are 19, we'll get to them later. And the other interesting thing I found on River's Instagram, this transformation photo, which she posted about a year ago. And she was gorgeous then, but the glow up from then to now in this promo look, I'm gagged. I guess you could say she's had quite the metamorphosis. But that does beg the question, which river is gonna show up on the show? Anyways, needless to say, this look is absolutely hot. Next up, orange alert! It's Krystal Versace. It's giving me like fashion forward-thinking club wear that could also work on the beaches of Cancun or something. And I was kind of wondering if this look was at all inspired by Ahura or Bimini's fashion, because I could see either of them rocking this just as well. And sure enough, I actually found out that the same designer that did Bimini's Gay Times cover look did this one. Anyways, yes, I absolutely love it. This look is hot. And her Instagram presence is, I think, hands down, one of the most impressive by far. She's got a really unique signature beat, I think, and brand of drag that stands out amongst the rest of the cast. This is one of our 19-year-olds, and in Krystal's Meet the Queens interview, she says that she's been doing makeup and serving boy looks since she was like 12. Next up, Kitty Scott-Claus. I wonder what she's got under that tree. In her Meet the Queens interview, she has camp and an amazing personality. I think we're gonna get lots of funny moments from her. And her transformation into Kitty is fascinating as well. Like, girl, there must be something in the water over in the UK because these queens can paint. Her outfit, though, honestly, I don't particularly care for it myself. It's just not my personal style, but I think she looks beautiful. My only critique is that I wish it told me a little bit more about who she is as a queen. So I'm gonna leave this look at a warm. And before we go any further, I want to quickly remind you that my channel is made possible by my patrons on patreon.com/BussyQueen. That's my members only website where my patron family gets access to exclusive videos, early access to my main channel YouTube videos, access to the Bussy Queen Discord server, the ability to vote in hottest hot polls every single week, and more. You can get all those benefits and support the channel by clicking the link in the description of this video. See you there. Now, let's get back to it. Next up, it's been one hell of a day in it. So her name is Ella Vaday, and I used the British accent there so that you could get the pun, hell of a day. In her interview, we learned that she is an actor,
I'm acting,
a singer, and a dancer. And transformation is her specialty. She's actually somebody that I saw popping up on my recommended Instagram feed for like the past year. Out of drag, I'm like, Maury, whew, that's a man. And in drag, I'm like, Maury, whew, that is a woman. I will say though, we all love a hottie with a body. We love picking out the trade of the season and yada, 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 but body and looks aren't everything. I'm curious to see what else Miss Ella is going to offer us in the competition. Hopefully some of that acting, singing, and dancing. And the outfit itself is pretty. It's like this head-to-toe nude illusion with crystals all over it. But I do feel the same way about this look as I do about Kitty's. Does she look beautiful? Yeah. But it does leave me with a couple questions about like who she is as a queen and what her unique take on drag is. So same as Kitty, this is a warm hot for me. Next up, girl, I'm shocked. And she is too. It's Elektra Fence. And I love that all these queens are using Elektra as a pun on electricity, but every time I hear the name Elektra, I think of Jennifer Garner in the movie Elektra. Anyways, this season is literally full of cute boys. Also on her Instagram, I found this picture of her next to Tia Coffee. Oh my god, the like high difference of 3 feet. And her promo look I absolutely am in love with because it very much immediately says Elektra. It has all the look and personality in a look that I want from a queen in a Meet the Queens setting. Like, she's not only been struck by lightning, but she is the lightning. Plus the wig is taking me to like a Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan space, which I'm living for. I think this look is smoldering hot. Next up, Vanity Milan, another queen, proving that this is the season of cute boys. It's obvious the casting team over there knows how to get the audience interested. In her interview, she says that she's only been doing drag for 1 year, which is very impressive. And I think is even more impressive when we look back at her Instagram and see one of the first looks that she ever posted from 2019 in this beautiful orange dress and boots. And I'm not sure if her promo look is a reference to that look, but I'm loving the different textures that she used with the feathers, the fringe on the inside, and the almost like pineapple pattern of sequins on the rest of it. Aren't you glad I didn't make an orange pun? This look is hot. On the topic of diversity, you will notice that Vanity is the only black queen in the cast, which I think is really important to talk about because I think diversity and representation absolutely matters. Here's what some of the alumni from the show have had to say about this. Taste tweeted, "Congrats to all the S3 slags. I'm so proud to see so many familiar faces and excited to get to know the unfamiliar. With that being said, I am a little taken aback by the lack of diversity that's been casted, especially as I personally know so many incredible POC, trans, and AFAB performers. Hopefully things things will improve, and for now I wish nothing but the best for the S3 girls. You deserve all the love today. This is your moment. Live it up, hounds, and F it up always. And Trinity K. Bonet posted this on her Instagram story. Question: are there not a lot of black queens in the UK? And I certainly can't speak for the UK, much less a specific population within it, so I did some research and I found this amazing interview with the queen named Frida Slaves, which is an amazing drag name by the way, that was helpful to me in providing insight into why the cast of UK looks like it does. In that article, we learned that Frida actually would have been cast on Drag Race UK Season 1 had she submitted an audition tape. And the interviewer asks her, of course, why she didn't. Her response was, there are a lot of articles saying there needs to be more diversity on the show, that they should have put so-and-so on, but none of us auditioned. So the question is, why aren't they auditioning, rather than why aren't they on the show? We just don't have the money or the time to make it in order to do it, which is an important reminder of the sacrifices that people have to make to go on this show. It's not cheap, as I've talked about in a video. And on top of all that, in the UK, there is zero prize money. This whole article is an excellent read, and I've linked it in the description of this video, but I would love to hear from y'all. What do you think that Drag Race UK and Drag Race as a franchise should do to increase diversity in casting? Next up, Choriza May, whose name, of course, is a pun on the Spanish word chorizo, which means sausage, and also, like, I think on the name Teresa. And Miss Choriza is from España. Hola, ¿cómo está? This is another queen with tons of personality, and I think a really interesting take on drag. I love the coat that she has on. It kind of feels like a dragged up version of like a mariachi coat or something. Plus, I always love learning more about other cultures, and I love when queens can incorporate parts of their heritage into their drag. Choriza está muy caliente. Finding Choriza's out of drag pictures were a little more difficult, but I did find a couple on her gram, and I was also shocked to see how many different types and styles of makeup and drag she can do. Like, one minute she's Marge, the next she's I'm blue da ba dee da ba da. Next up, Anubis. She did say in her Meet the Queens interview that she has Egyptian heritage she is celebrating with that name. This look, girl. Kooky, crazy, wild. Let's start with what I really like about it, the hair. I love the different colors and textures and waves and spikes in it. Really, really fun. She gave me like crazy clown on a bit of an acid trip. The actual outfit that she's wearing, I think she had an interesting idea, but ultimately a crash landing. The top is giving me like a take on Britney's flight attendant outfit, but the bottom part is giving me like spray painted camping tent. So while it is very unique and I celebrate her wig with a hot, the overall outfit is going to get a rot. That said, I do want to celebrate some amazingly hot looks on her Instagram and also some hottie hot boy looks. Next up, Charity Kase. So if you follow drag queens on Instagram, you've no doubt seen this queen somewhere in your recommended feed. They had like over 100,000 followers coming into all of this, and I think we're most well known for their like hundreds of days of drag that they did. Every day was a new interpretation of some pop culture or cartoon figure, but with like her own unique horror take on it. And that, no surprise, extends to her promo look, which is googly goopity gagginess. It's wild. I don't think we have ever seen a promo look like this. This is grand finale levels of eleganza that she brought to this. She's giving me Spyro the Dragon Goes to the Drag Ball, dripping in crystals. Seriously, props to her and the team that put this look together, because it's undeniably fireball levels of hot. And now on to the drama. I was perusing her social media and noticed that people have been calling her out on Twitter and on Reddit for some tweets and social media posts that she made in her past. Here's what she had to say about all of that on Twitter. Today, some tweets surfaced from 8 years ago which consist of me using disgusting and offensive language in a casual, colloquial way. I was 16 and uneducated at the time, unaware of cultural misappropriation and the impact of my use of language. I totally accept that this doesn't excuse my behavior. I want you to know how deeply sorry I am. I am not that same young boy today. I take full responsibility for these unacceptable tweets, and I hope you can understand that they do not represent me now or what I stand for today. I have changed and grown, and I'm committed to growing further, to using the platform and privilege I have to amplify the voices of people of color. Ultimately, I think it's nice to see Charity acknowledging and taking ownership of her past, apologizing, and committing to growth. Personally, when I evaluate somebody's character, I always look at who they are today. Because at the end of the day, if we as a society don't allow room for people to grow and change, then nobody ever will grow and change. That said, everyone's reactions to and feelings about situations like this are completely and 100% valid. So as always, I'd love to hear your take on things and read what you have to say concerning this situation down in the comments below. And while you're down there, don't forget to let me know who you're rooting for and which promo look was your favorite. And as for my hottest in this set of promo looks, well, it's time for me to make a donation because I've got to give it to charity. I've also asked my patrons to vote on their hottest look, and they've also chosen charity. See y'all later. Love ya. Bye. She's back and fully functional. Hi, Ugly. It's me, Bussy, and welcome back to Hot or Rat. Today we'll be reviewing the premiere of RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 3. Our queens were challenged to serve 2 looks on the runway today, one representing their hometown and the other representing their favorite thing. And we'll also be spilling and sipping some hot tea. Apparently, a whore had a lot of things to say about Veronica Green in the press the other day. So we'll be taking a look at exactly what happened there and how all of the Season 2 and 3 UK queens responded. Let's get started. First up, she's best enjoyed with jam and cream. It's Victoria Scone. Firstly, I just have to praise the silhouettes, camp, high drag, and comedy that Victoria brought to RuPaul's Drag Race. Thank you for your service. So let's see what all that buzz is about. Maybe her daffodil look on the hometown runway, which is a full stop gag. Daffodils are the national flower of Wales and is giving me the only daffodil in the entire universe. She reminds me of like a campy high drag version of like the Teletubbies baby in the sun, but as a daffodil. This look is absolutely hot. And for her favorite things look, she did afternoon tea. She comes out literally dressed as the like stacked tiered tea table, and her wig is the plate handle. She says this whole thing was inspired by Lee Bowery. Mimi I'm first is shaking, and I am thirsty. The only thing I thought was a little bit of a missed opportunity with that tea runway, I was like, girl, where are the scones? Your name is Victoria Scones, and like, those are what you eat with tea, right? But maybe she just didn't want to be too on the nose? I don't know, but she's already 10 sips ahead of the competition anyway. This look is hot. I truly don't know how she's gonna top these runways going into the next couple of episodes because she started off with a bang. Next up, it's Katie Scott-Claus. Her hometown is Birmingham and she is representing the Cadbury chocolate bar. I think specifically a bar called Dairy Milk, and I'm glad that I saw this reference because I had no idea what I was looking at first. This look though, is it a bad one? No. But does it wet my whistle? Does it make me want to wake up in the morning? Am I craving more chocolate? Also no. So I think I've got to give it a rot. And for her My Favorite Things runway, she chose to do ABBA. You know, the group behind Dancing Queen. This look again just kind of left me going, is that all? Because like our first one, is it a bad look? No, she looks really cute. This would be great for a club doing some ABBA numbers. But on the RuPaul's Drag Race runway, when you stack these looks up against what some of these other queens did tonight, girl, I'm not feeling 17. I'm feeling too old for this bullshit. This look is a rot. But I'm also not gonna move on from her without giving her some praise for that entrance look, which was totally adorable. Very like Elle Woods up in the courthouse dressed in all pink. I think she's somebody that is going to be shining in the personality department, because in the confessional, she was giving some good head. Next up, it's 4:45 a.m. and I've had one hell of a day. How about you? Her hometown is Dagenham, and she's representing a 1968 women's strike against the Ford Motor Company, yeah, the one that makes cars, for equal pay. I think it was really smart of Ella to put exactly what her look was on her protest sign, because I could have seen a lot of people and possibly even the judges scratching their head at that, because the look itself is really just like everyday look inspired by the 60s fashion. But make it blonde bombshell with an ass for days. Come on, Herstory, this look is hot. And for her favorite things runway, she is giving us pride, flag, realness. I like that this kind of has like a Wonder Woman superhero-esque vibe to it. And most importantly, I really love that she switched up her silhouette completely here, clearly making this one the cherry on top of what she was doing on the runway tonight. This look is hot. Next up, Anubis, giving us the Curse of Brighton. You'll remember that last season Joe Black was infamously eliminated for his Brighton look, which we don't need to get into it, but the judges were wrong for that. Anubis's look though, fierce. She's dressed as the Helter Skelter from the Brighton Pier, which is this like giant lighthouse looking carnival slide type contraption. Slide on in? I think I will. I love the on-trend oversized sleeves, which really do make sense with this runway considering what this is. This look is a true serve, and I think it is hot. But concerning her favorite things runway, I was honestly gagged the judges didn't like this look at first. I kind of love it. The gown is very pretty. I think it's kind of difficult to serve a copper sequins gown like that, on top of the fact that her wig is literally like 2 feet tall. But then as I was collecting all my notes from this episode, I was like, wait, what was her theme for this runway? And then I was like, sea creatures. And then I looked at the outfit again and I was like, girl, what kind of sea creature is this? I think she maybe was going for some kind of squid vibe, but at the end of the day, the judges were right. She did just kind of throw a fishing net on top of a pretty gown. So this was not a bad look, but considering the theme that she gave herself, it was very low effort. So I'm gonna give it a rat. However, I kind of think her hometown look should have been enough to save her from the bottom tonight, but let me know what y'all are thinking about that down in the comments below. Next up, River Medway. She is dressed as this statue of somebody named Thomas Waghorn. And the statue is apparently always adorned with traffic cones on his head and his arm where he's pointing. River's giving us camp, she's giving us drag, she's giving us performance, and most importantly, she's making RuPaul laugh. Literally the #1 key to success in RuPaul's Drag Race. Like, if you can make RuPaul laugh, she will make sure you're the first person out of the burning building every single time. I think just for the performance, I'm gonna give this look a but I also definitely want to give her some recognition for the traffic cone on her head being made out of hair. I mean, cone on already. But girl, let's talk about that My Favorite Things runway. Music, you could literally choose anything, and you choose the broadest category that you could take in 1 million different ways, and you leave it at the surface level interpretation of that word. Whatever this is, I'm not gagging. This is a rat. Next up, my 2 favorite things, Krystal, Versace. Firstly, ma'am, this makeup. Can you teach me what's going on there? There's witchcraft at play. I don't know what's happening. It's amazing. Like, I will not only sell my soul to the devil, but also him off to get some of that talent. Her hometown is Kent, and she is dressed like the Gardens of England. Garden of Eve's earthly kid sister, of course. This look I definitely like, but I didn't quite get gardens from this. Like, I had no idea that she was literally supposed to be like castle-walled gardens. It's more just kind of like high-fashion grapevines than anything else. It kind of looks like maybe she's just supposed to be an extra on a TV set with that green screen suit on. Like, she's literally standing in the background, disappears. She's literally giving me Ginger when she's trying to blend in with the wall and like spy on the other teams from All-Star 6. But she looks damn good doing it, so I've got to give this look a hat. For her favorite thing, she chose cats. While I was watching this episode, I was so distraught by River's music runway thing when this came up that I could not even process what I was looking at. But this look is fierce with a capital F. The body, the silhouette, the look as a whole complete package. She's leaving me with cat scratch fever. I think this look is hat. I will say the only thing I would change here is the shoe. I think it would have been really easy to just extend the pattern of the pant and top down to like a boot cover to really solidify this look. Next up, something wicked this way comes. It's Veronica Green. Before I talk about her runway looks and drama, I have to give praise to her entrance look. The green skin is dedication, and if you watch closely in her confessional, you can literally see that she's got the green paint stained around her fingernails. Like, girl, she did the damn thing. But her main 2 runways left me with more questions than answers. Her hometown look is representing the cotton mills from Rochdale. And like, do I see the cotton? Yes. Do I want to pick it? No. I think her dress is supposed to be like the stem of the cotton plant, and it's not a bad silhouette at all, but why does she look like Mickey Mouse if he was sitting in a cotton field? Like, she even painted on like whiskers onto her cheeks. I just don't know why she went in that direction. And unfortunately, there's just something about the texture of raw cotton or whatever she used to look like cotton that makes this look appear very unfinished. I think had she just created an entire dress out of the white cotton, this might have sold me a little bit better, but as is, it is a rat. And as for her My Favorite Things look, Miss Ma'am. Miss Ma'am. Veronica had, I think, the same problem that River had on the runway tonight. She chose a really general category for her favorite thing and then stayed at the surface level. Like, why are we wearing an 80s ski suit outfit and trying to pass it off as some sort of cyberpunk fantasy while holding an N64 controller? Like, this favorite thing could have been so sickening had she dressed like Lara Croft, a Mortal Kombat character. Any number of iconic boobalicious video game characters would have been sickening as hell, but instead we got this, and I'm like, girl, what in gay hell is going on here? This is a rat. Honestly, I think she should have swapped this runway with her entrance look and made her favorite thing theater, right? And concerning her drama with Ahura, let's look at that tea, the spillage, the sippage of it all. So all of this started at what appears to be a Drag Race UK viewing party when Ahura was asked to SMK, Snog, marry, K-word, her season 2 sisters. She says she'd marry Bimini for the money. Snog asked Cena Mandela, and this is what she said about Veronica Green.
And I would Veronica mean, because why? Because she's shit. She's annoying, she's a little backstage also.
So Veronica has yet to make a public statement regarding this at the time I'm recording this video, but her season 2 and 3 sisters did chime in her defense. Can confirm Veronica is bloody lovely, wrote Tia Coffee. And Joe Black confirmed Veronica is an absolute babe. Choriza May said, I couldn't be prouder and happier to have Veronica on our season. So blessed I can call her my sister. So sweet and bloody talented. And then even the current reigning queen in the UK, Miss Lawrence Chaney herself, had something to say. I'm only going to share my experience, but Veronica has always been lovely. I remember when I was down about the Rusical, she came up to me and said, you're going to be in the top and this is a 1-week thing. You'll bounce back. Heart of gold. She did add though, the most you can say about her is she takes effing ages to get ready and required help getting into outfits, but so do other queens. Sisters supporting sisters, we love to see it on this channel. The backlash actually got so bad for Ahura that she decided to issue an apology on September 27th, saying, speaking on the video that surfaced from a show between me and Kase many months back, I want to apologize publicly to Veronica. My priority before this statement after seeing the video was to apologize to Veronica myself directly firsthand. In that situation on the video, we were asked to play a game of Snog, Marry, Avoid, which is something we were asked to do at the mid/end of our shows, each time being different answers and different people. It's lighthearted and a time for us to read our sisters, give gossip, or tease the crowd. Nothing in which I said was meant in malice, harm, or to try and damage someone's character. She is a good person and doesn't deserve to hear those kind of comments even in jest. And for this, I am deeply sorry. Ahura. But let me know what you're thinking about all of this down below. Personally, I think it's pretty fierce that Veronica hasn't said anything about this, because I think seeing so many of her peers immediately jump to her defense is really all I need to know about the situation. Next up, Scarlett Harlett from East London. She is representing the Pearly Kings and Queens, a group of working class people in London that literally decorated their outfits with pearl buttons. Wikipedia traces these pearly groups back to the 1860s, the first one being Henry Croft, who by the way is serving a look, and it seems like their main goal of dressing up in these really flashy outfits was to use that attention they garnered to then raise money for charity. And yes, the Pearlies apparently do still exist today. Overall, she is giving me Hunger Games and also teaching me herstory, so I am living for this. Mr. Old Henry Croft from back in the day might have outdone this look, but Scarlett, this is hot. I love learning. And concerning her favorite thing, music. Again, officially making this the third music-related runway we've seen tonight. Is this look cute? Yes? But it's not making me sing. It's very 80s Barbie, and the second I saw those poofy sleeves on the shoulders, I was like, oh, Michelle and Rue are going to live for this, because why? They love reliving their heydays. So whether she intended to or not, I think it was really smart of her to play to the judges' taste. I think the wire around her body is innovative, but conceptually speaking, I think this look does leave a little bit to be desired. So I'm gonna leave this at a warming up. So Scarlett really intrigues me as a competitor in this competition because she feels very green, but has this innate star power I see every time she opens her mouth. Like she just really lights up. Plus, she has all the acting experience she'll need for those challenges. That was her in Home Alone, right? Next up, Elektra Fence, who is apparently literally named after getting shocked by an electric fence. Her hometown is Burnley and she is paying homage to the Pit Brow Girls, not to be confused with the Pit Crew Girls. These were women who worked at like the top levels of coal mines, sifting the coal that was mined from the rocks for like precious gems. And I was kind of gagged that the judges read her for this look because I love the silhouette. I think overall her concept was executed well and it was educational. Like she looks sexy as hell with that pickaxe. Am I wrong? Am I crazy? Elektra, why don't you come around and check my coal for diamonds sometime? Ow. This look is hot. As for her My Favorite Things runway, this was certainly not one of my favorite things tonight. It's birthday, which I will say is very unique on the runway. It looks very different and stands out, but not in a good way. I think she made this outfit by covering that base dress in E6000 glue, tossing it into a daycare, and then coming back at the end of the week to pick it up. It's just a little too sweet. This look is definitely a rat, but shout out to the suggestive blue glitter around her mouth. Maybe she was kissing sister backstage or something else. Next up, Vanity Milan. I'm gonna call out her entrance look right now because bam! The rainbow feathers, gag. She looks stunning every single time she is on the screen tonight. Her hometown is South London, and she is representing her Jamaican community that she grew up in. On Instagram, she wrote, "It's loud, it's green, and full of culture. I'm representing my Jamaican heritage while serving curry goat and rice body bad gal realness." It's a solid A+ look. I love the big giant tulle coat revealing to the Jamaican flag dress, and the hair, stunning. And I think she really was the only one tonight to give us a 2-in-1 fantasy. This look is hot. And for the My Favorite Things runway, she is representing the swallow, a bird that is native to Estonia. In her confessional for this, she was like, "I'm dressed as the swallow," and yes, I do. This look is intriguing. It has so many different textures and layers. I didn't really know what was going on at first, but I liked it, and the more I looked at it, I was like, oh, I love that little detail with the harness. The sleeves that look like feathers. The carefully placed colors. Vanity, this look is hot. Next up, Choriza May. She's representing Newcastle in this black and white gown with, oh my god, literally every type of fabric and feather and lace, and it's so crazy but gorgeous. And I really love that she was even giving us a little ASMR fantasy, tapping those extra long nails on the stone soccer ball purse. The funny thing, in all of my ignorance about sports, I thought she was dressed as a referee. And then as I was doing research, I realized that apparently referees wear like solid pink, yellow, blue, and black shirts now, which shattered my whole world because the little bit I thought I knew about sports was apparently not even true. She's actually dressed in the colors of the Magpies, the football team from Newcastle. But even though I know nothing about sports, I do know that this look is a goal! And her My Favorite Things runway is definitely a standout for me. I love the Picasso reference there. Do you see how she chose a category that was very broad, but then narrowed it in on a specific reference? The only thing I think that she could have done better here was to actually Picasso-fy her makeup, but given that she was serving 2 looks on the runway tonight, she probably didn't really have time to do that. But an excellent reference and stunning look nonetheless. This look is hot. And finally, let's do some good. It's Charity Kase. Her hometown is Lancashire, and she... What was that accent? And she is dressed as the flower from that city. Y'all don't come for me. I loved seeing this interpretation because last season we got to see Veronica's interpretation of the Rose situation in that beautiful red ball gown that she wore for this exact runway. This look from Charity though is giving me Rose if it came alive in a demented hellfire landscape. She is the ASMR sleep paralysis demon of the Rose Garden. This look is a gag. I love horror, I love drama, I love artistry. She says she made this from head to toe, and I am head to toe impressed. This for me was the most visually interesting look on the runway tonight. And I think it's really awesome that Drag Race is finally doing things like recognizing women doing drag and people that are doing what many people would refer to as alternative drag. Roses are red, violets are blue, and Charity Kase, this look is hot. For her My Favorite Things runway, she chose freak shows, and she certainly let her freak flag fly, among other things. I was literally sitting there waiting for Rupaul and Michelle to bring up the situation, but they didn't. And I was kind of like, oh, maybe Drag Race has changed. Again, really nice to see something super fresh, demented, insane on the runway. She is the Jackbox, she's carrying a Jackbox, and she's got this insane hair thing going on. Very cool stuff. Charity, this is hot. Charity's creativity is unquestionably out of the box, but anyone want to take bets on how many episodes it'll take for Michelle to ask her to see some versatility? I'll put money on 2. And for this premiere, we've got a little bit of a twist. There are 2 lip syncs, one for the win and one for their lives. And if you want to catch my reaction to the whole episode, including these 2 lip syncs, that is available on my Patreon as an exclusive video at patreon.com/BussyQueen. That's my members only website where my Patreon family gets exclusive member benefits like early access to my videos, exclusive videos, access to the Bussy Queen Discord server, and more. Click the link in the description of the video to join today. See you there. Concerning the lip sync for the win, I rarely watch a lip sync and I'm like, oh, they should both win. But this was one of that moments. It was really fun to see that Krystal wasn't just a fashion girl, but she could also turn out some sickening stunts on the stage. And good to know that Victoria's more versatile than elaborate costumes, and comedy, and camp, and high drag. She's amazing. I'll give hots to both of them and was happy with the outcome. And concerning our bottom 2, Elektra Fence versus Anubis. Girl, Elektra shocked me in this lip sync. I was shook, shaking. I'm still shaking. I'm still gagging. Betty Spaghetti is shaking. Gumby found dead. The way that she jumped onto like the sides of her legs, girl, oof, those knees, mine would be literally cracking and breaking in half. If I were in this competition, I would be terrified to end up in the bottom with her because there's no way in hell I could beat that. So she deservedly wins that, and Anubis sachets away. Overall, I was happy with the outcome of this episode, but I do have to say, I kind of think Veronica Green was overlooked for a bottom placement here, because while I am super excited to see her, neither of these looks did a single thing for me. While the 3 contestants the judges did choose for the bottom all had at least one look that I liked. And concerning the top 2, I think Veronica and Krystal were excellent choices. Other contenders I think for these spots tonight were Charity, Choriza, and Vanity Milan. But let me know what you're thinking about this episode down in the comments below. Did the right queens win and sashay away, and who would your tops and bottoms have been? And lastly, I'll let you know my hottest hot in the hometown runway goes to Charity Kase. And I also asked my patrons to vote for their hottest hometown looks. They chose Victoria's Scone. My hottest favorite things runway goes to Krystal Versace, and my patrons also voted here for Krystal Versace. And I want to give a huge thanks to you for watching this video, and an extra special thanks to one of my patrons, Lily, who helped me with all of the references for the hometown runways. See y'all later. Love ya. Bye. What seems to be the problem, officer? Is it my big fat Hi, ugly. It's me, Bussy, and welcome back to Hot or Hot. And today we'll be reviewing episode 2 of RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 3. Today our queens were challenged to act and dance in a live action performance called Dragathon, which kind of felt more like a fever dream than anything else, and the runway category was Red Carpet Showstopper. We'll be breaking all of that down, and then at the end of today's analysis, we'll be sipping some hot tea originally spilled by Willam that could explain why this episode felt so chaotic, and then might hint at troubles ahead. Now, let's get pumped up. First up, it's Choriza. In the main challenge, I think she was a definite standout of her group, the Ride or Dies. So good, in fact, I was actually shocked that she didn't place in the top 3. But I guess the judges were just too hung up on how allegedly bad her 2 group members did. But we'll get to that in a second. Choriza, this was hot. On the runway, she says she's giving us a look inspired by traditional flamenco, complete with a piñata, which is like a little headdress comb, which would usually be plastic or metal with some jewels in it. But hers is made of hair. I think you have to be really careful when you start combining all these different patterns, textures, and references into one look. But what could have been messy turns out is a work of art. I will say I didn't necessarily get red carpet from this look, but she was a definite standout on the runway, and I think it was spicy hot. Next up, what the it's Elektra Fence. Okay. This is where things start to get crazy. Elektra gets red for getting ahead of everybody else in the main challenge, which wasn't something that I actually noticed, but on watchback, the judges were right. She was 1 or 2 beats ahead of everyone else every single time they did a wide shot. But then again, this challenge was so chaotic that it was hard to tell who was and was not doing what they were supposed to do. I mean, the last act of the challenge was just the entire cast pretending to be malfunctioning robots. So yeah, if we're going on technicals, this was a rat, which must have hurt because she was one of our trained dancers. On the runway, she's giving us beautiful, dirty, rich, and intergalactic. Literally Lady Gaga in that music video, but make her a Jedi. As the judges pointed out, this wasn't a great look, and you don't need to look at it from space to know that. But you could see that thigh pad from space, which if you were anywhere in the vicinity of her while dancing, she'd knock you out with. This look was a rat. Next up, Paris, London, Milan. Vanity, Milan. Vanity is our 3rd final member of the Ride or Dies and the 2nd trained dancer of the group. Instead of reading her choreography though, the judges decided to go in on her hair and outfit, and I was like, is this an acting and dancing challenge or is this a runway challenge, girl? Y'all need to make up your minds. Was the outfit a little bit too glammy for a workout? Maybe. But none of the 3 in this group were matching. Plus it felt a little weird that they didn't critique anyone else's outfit in the main challenge. Outfit aside, did her performance make me break a sweat? No. But definitely got me warmed up, so I'm gonna give her a hot. On the runway, the judges go in again. The Chic Wall. She is in this gorgeous lilac gown that she says is referencing Beyonce at the Met Gala, which could have been her 2012 or maybe her 2015 look. Definitely you can see the inspiration in what she was going for. Plus, my God, she looks gorgeous. The only critique worth giving to this look is that maybe the necklace was not needed. I just did not understand why the judges were so hung up on Vanity. Surely they were on right? This look is hot. Next up, ho ho ho, it's Kitty Scott-Claus. In the challenge, she was complete and utter insanity, which is exactly what she should have been for this challenge. She was giving me loud, crazy workout instructor realness and definitely deserved her top spot this week, maybe even the win. But we'll talk more about that later. This was hot. On the runway, she's giving us a direct reference to Marilyn Monroe in Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend from Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. I know, right? I think she looks really pretty. Does the gown fit perfectly? No, there does seem to be a little bit of extra fabric at the top, which, as Michelle pointed out, maybe was a little bit of a fatal flaw for her because it exposed some of her corset. Maybe it was borrowed, maybe she just didn't air up her tits before she hit the runway. Who knows what happened, but I do still think this look is a VVS worth buying. It's hot. Next up, is she the drama? It's Krystal Versace. It was, really interesting how they kind of set her up for failure at the beginning of this episode. Ru was having her dig through baskets of items that could be found at a grocery store to find cards with kind of negative superlatives to hand out to the queens. Like, Ru basically asked her to point out the ugliest bitch in the group and then explain why she did it. Like, wouldn't it just made a lot more sense the entire group had voted on these superlatives? Kind of like how they did in All-Star 6? Anyways, production setup or not, Krystal does end up making fun of Victoria's size, which was definitely wrong that she said that, but it was nice that they had a little conversation and cleared things up later in the episode. I think how calmly Victoria handled that whole situation did a lot to demonstrate how emotionally mature she was, and also a great person for not taking it too personally and instead turning it into a learning opportunity for Krystal and everyone watching. As for the main challenge, Krystal was in the best group of the bunch. I cannot stress how much better they were than the other two. That said, she does continue to surprise. I didn't expect her to be such an amazing lip syncer last week, and I didn't expect her to bring so much energy into this challenge, which isn't a read, it's just an observation on her age and general demeanor. Krystal, this performance was hot. On the runway, show-stopping, glamorous. She's the only Hollywood starlet. It's hard not to look at her and just choke on the eleganza and perfection of looks that she serves. Like, there's just not a sequin out of place. And as it turns out, not skipping chest day has its benefits. This look was hot. Next up, splish splash, it's River Medway. River was quite the little ham last week on the runway with all that pointing she did. So I was expecting her to bring a little something extra to this challenge, and she did not let me down. She did great, and I think it's an accomplishment in and of itself to not just be totally outshined by the powerhouses in that group that are Veronica, Krystal, and Kitty. River, this was hot. And on the runway, do I like your body? She's giving me like Anna Nicole Smith vibes. And it does feel a little bit outside of her box, but then again, we don't really know her that well yet. But I do like what I'm seeing. And this look is obviously a great turnaround from what happened last week with her little music note runway. This look is hot. Next up, Veronica Mean. Ooh, I mean green. I have literally zero criticisms of her in this challenge. This was up her alley, she aced it, and she definitely deserved a spot in the top this week. Veronica, this was hot. And on the runway, she's giving us an 80 Curly's Goddess fantasy, but I will say the dress she's wearing feels a little too dated and youthful, almost giving me like young Disney actress instead of young Hollywood starlet. She looks pretty, but I would have loved to have seen her take this outside of the box just a little bit. I think I gotta give this a rat. That said, I do want to go ahead and give a little bit of context to Veronica's looks. She did an interview with Mirror.co.uk titled, Drag Race UK's Veronica Green had to beg, borrow, and steal to return to the contest. And in that interview, she simply explains that she didn't have the resources to get a whole entire other wardrobe of clothing to return to season 3. She also said, I didn't know this, that they were filming season 3 while season 2 was on the air. So like her return must have felt like a whirlwind. She didn't get to learn from her experience at all, much less have any time to earn any money to buy new looks. And the article ends with a quote from Veronica. There was a saying a few years ago that you don't need money to do drag, and that's absolutely true, but you do need money to do Drag Race. Next up, aren't you glad you're watching Hot or Rat? It's Charity Kase. So she's the first member in our third and final group, and I do agree with what the judges said about her performance. She was going for this dumb blonde bit that didn't work because she didn't have the base foundation of what she was doing laid. It was nice to see her take a risk and do something different than everybody else, but at the same time, it didn't pay off. This was a rat. On the runway though, take my breath away. She is giving us the only 20s koi pond fantasy. She made this look, yet again, Charity Kase Couture, and I thought it was a flawless victory. The fringe, the stoning, the headpiece, my God, this is literally a 10 out of 10 look, and the judges had the nerve, the gumption, the gall, the audacity to tell her that it was wearing her. And I was like, are y'all out of your damn minds? She's the only one on the runway tonight that went outside of the box. And the only one to impress me, really, on the runway. Maybe they were just a little spooked out that the makeup looked identical to Sharon Needle's face, but girl, you can't hate on that look. I'm making another donation. Charity, this look is hot. I also loved seeing Charity clap back to some of the haters this week on Instagram when they were critiquing her for her tuck, or lack thereof, I should say. She wrote, "Just to let you know, I'm not trying to convince anybody that I am a woman. Even if I was, I know plenty of beautiful women with keywords. I am here to represent anybody who doesn't fit into that socially enforced stereotype of what a gender should be." Next up, Vaday. She's one hell of a hot deal according to Krystal. In the challenge, she gave a solid performance, but being how bad the group, the Baby Sizers, was as a whole, girl, come on. The judges were probably so distracted by Charity doing her dumb blonde bit, Victoria sitting on a stool, and Scarlett doing whatever the hell she was doing, that they couldn't even take time to notice that she were performing the number correctly. Plus, I will say her energy was outshined by pretty much everyone in the ball busting group, so that explains why she's not in the top this week, but this performance was hot. On the runway, the look is perfection. Definitely red carpet, old Hollywood glamour, but it's missing something. I don't know, it just feels a little been there, done that. I've seen this too much, and I just think she's gonna have to modernize herself a little bit if she wants to compete on the runway with queens like Krystal and Charity. I'm not mad at it by any means, but I'm also not gagging. This look is hot. Like a soft hot. Our next big baby is Scarlett Harlett. In the challenge, I was shocked. Elektra shocked that she was not put into the bottom. Not being shady, just pointing out that she was actually off beat every single time they showed her in a shot. Not joking. And if they're gonna critique Elektra for being too far ahead, I think they should also be critiquing Scarlett for being too far behind. She had good energy, but she was not in tune with many of the other queens tonight. This was a rat. On the runway, ain't she just the cutest little thing? She is giving me like sweet 16. Nervous high schooler waiting to get picked up by their date for prom. She is endlessly adorable. This look is hot. And finally, Victoria's gone, which apparently is a pun that I was missing because I didn't understand that Scone can also be pronounced scone, but I also don't understand the pun of Victoria being gone. Where did she go? In the challenge, she was there. She was suffering from a knee injury, so she couldn't really do much of anything besides sit on a stool. And she probably did her best considering her situation, so I'm not really gonna critique her performance. But on the runway, she maybe had an opportunity to shine. I think though, the pain she was in just came through that camera. It hurt me to watch her hobbling down the runway. Victoria, I really feel for you, girl. That said, this isn't my favorite look. It's a pretty simple hair and gown that, sure, says red carpet, but doesn't really tell me anything about Victoria and also doesn't match how outrageous her makeup looks tonight. So, I'm gonna give this look a rat. This week, the judges go for another hit of Krystal and give her the win again. Justifiable? Absolutely. However, I do think they kind of missed a good opportunity to hand out a win to Kitty or Veronica here, because they were all great. Or hell, maybe even Choriza. She was totally overlooked. I think really her win is kind of explained by the whole storyline situation that we saw them set her up with from the beginning of the episode, turning her into a little bit of a villain, having a redemption arc, and then cementing that with the win. But that's just my over-analysis of what is a reality TV show. Welcome to Hot or Rot. Our bottoms this week are Elektra, Vanity, and Charity. Elektra, sure. Charity, sure. Vanity, girl, come on. Y'all quit hitting that Krystal. We saw her tell the story of how she really struggled with her skin tone growing up, later learning to love herself, and also how that all ties into her being the only black representation in the group, leading to her feeling a lot of pressure being there. Understandable. So in a way, I think her story presented an obstacle which her winning the lip sync represented her overcoming, also setting her up for more success later in the season. Like, I really do want to know how many of y'all watching really would have put Vanity in the bottom tonight over somebody like Scarlett or Charity. And concerning that lip sync, Elektra versus Vanity, I did react to this whole episode over on my Patreon at patreon.com/BussyQueen. That's my members only website where my patron family gets exclusive member benefits like early access to my YouTube videos, access to exclusive videos, access to the Bussy Queen Discord server, personal shoutouts, and more. Click the link in the description of this video to join today. See you there. But yeah, that lip sync, oh my god. Elektra, girl, she wore every inch of that stage out, but to her detriment. Vanity was an obvious win for the lip sync. She captured the energy and gave a really great performance, while Elektra was running around like a kid that had too much candy. Gotta give it to her for trying though. Splits, jumping off the stage, and breakdancing? Never seen that before. It's not right, but it's okay, I guess. Anyways, Elektra sachets away. Overall, this season is getting pretty crazy. We've already got an injured queen that's been rushed off to a hospital. Will she return? Who knows? And we've got this challenge that just felt under-rehearsed. Almost like they both learned the choreo and filmed the episode in the same day, which could be the case. Willam actually spilled some behind-the-scenes tea concerning this season over on Race Chaser a couple months ago. This is what he said.
Season 3 of Drag Race was filming over here, and they did one episode a day. They cranked it the out because Rue had to film something else right after, I guess, the international season. Girls got injured because they weren't given time to warm up. Girls were mistreated. The girls tried to stand up for themselves. The mental health coordinator, which is required on reality television for the BBC, he said that this will be his last season on the show because like it was just so shoddy. They were treating the girls like shit. And apparently the BBC is paid for by the taxpayers from the nation. So the fact that they're treating these girls like shit, it's illegal to work them the way that they work them, the hours that they work them, and treating them how they treated them. So,
as Willam in Alaska call it, it could just be hot goss, but sounds like the truth to me. I think it's a shame they apparently rushed this season because the cracks in the production facade are already starting to show. But let me know what you think about all that down in the comments below. Who would your top and bottom girls have been? Who would you give in the win? And who would you have sent home? And what do you think about all that tea? And finally, my hottest hat on the runway tonight goes to Charity Kase. I also asked my patrons to vote for their hottest hot over on patreon.com, and they too voted for Charity Kase. See you later. Love ya. Bye. Hey, ugly. It's me, Bussy, and welcome back to Hot or Rat. And today we'll be heading to the great outdoors to review episode 3 of RuPaul's Drag Race UK season 3. Our queens were challenged to serve 2 campy looks on the runway, when they brought happy campers and the other that they constructed there using leftover camping supplies, Campfire Couture. We'll also be taking a look at some hot tea in today's video covering Victoria's Scone, Veronica's Instagram farewell message where she let us know how she really felt about returning to RuPaul's Drag Race UK season 3, River Medway versus Bob the Drag Queen, and RuPaul herself. Seems like she may be tired of queens blaming things on the edit. Now, let's pitch a tent together. First up, good morning campers, it's Krystal Versace. Her Happy Campers look is giving us a high fashion Girl Scout fantasy. And I'm not sure if it was an accident, but she has served green all 3 times that she's hit the runway so far. The green hometown look, the green look we saw last week, and now this one. She may be trying to trigger Miss Visage. Who knows? But yeah, this look is clean, sophisticated, and there's really not a single badge out of place. That said, it would have been really fun to see her take this into a more campy direction. And not the literal camp, but funny hee hee ha ha camp. I don't know, put 100 more flare badges on that sash. Give us a silly reveal under the skirt. I don't know, anything silly and fun would have been appropriate considering the runway category, but yes, this look is still hot. Scout's honor. And concerning her Campfire Couture look, the fact that anybody can look like this, much less make the looks to make themselves look like this too, girl. I might as well just quit drag. Let's go. Just kidding. What would YouTube do without me? Anyways, this look is giving me vivacious, Shangela, OG Club Kid realness, but make it high fashion and modern. Is it the most unique thing in the world? Maybe not, but it's effing stunning. And looks well made, I might add. The only critique I think worth giving to this look is that the nude pump might not have been the best choice, but come on. I was pretty gagged that the judges were sitting there on the panel being like, we kind of expected this from you, Krystal. I was like, you expected her to come out in that? But then again, they could have just been a little burnt out from all the Krystal they've had the past 2 weeks. I'll take another hit though. This look is hot. Next up, it's Kitty Scott-Claus. This look from Kitty is exactly what I was wanting from Krystal. She took that Girl Scout uniform, added a little bit of hotness to it, and then added some fun to it. The extra badges, the cloggy heels, the high socks, the binoculars. She looks great. This is one of my favorite looks I've seen Kitty in so far. She's going camping, but didn't forget maybe the most important thing about camping. Camp. I think it's no coincidence that the producers lined up Kitty's Girl Scout look right after Krystal's to maybe take some air out of Krystal's runway. Anyways, this look is hot. And as for Kitty's camping couture look, she says she's giving us Barbarella, which I saw immediately with the little strappies, and the way that quilted bodice is giving us a little bit of an armor fantasy meets Judy Jetson. Or in the words of Shangela the Wise Prophet, Judy Jetson Hooker. This again pleasantly surprised me. The bitch looks good. And she's got great references here. My only critique on this outfit is that the skirt I think shouldn't have tapered in, instead flared out a little bit more to give some better movement to the outfit because she does look a little too robotic and stiff as she marches, but still a great look. And I think it's hot. Next up, north, south, east, west, river, Medway. I immediately saw this and thought of Dan Levy's fiasco, to put it lightly, at the Met Gala recently. This is what he should have been wearing. River's giving me Lewis and Clark meets newly rich widow, collecting that insurance check at the husband's funeral. And again, I think surprising everybody with the versatility and all of the different silhouettes that she has brought to the runway. X marks the spot. This look is hot. And as for her Campfire Couture look, oh girl, she is serving anything you want. The sky's the limit. Okay, I'm done. It looks like she used handkerchiefs to construct this outfit, and the silhouette is giving flight attendant fantasy, which is a very specific reference that I don't necessarily think lives and breathes high fashion, but I like her take on it. It's simple, effective, and I think demonstrates that River knows her way in, around, and about a silhouette and a sewing machine. This look is hot. Now, concerning that River Medway versus Bob the Drag Queen drama, last week River and Bob had people speculating that there may be a little bit of a kerfuffle developing behind the scenes when River tweeted this. It's so funny seeing certain Rue girls trash us. Have they forgotten what they looked like on their original season? Followed up by, being a C word isn't a personality trait. Never forget where you come from. Also, this isn't even about me or any queens in particular, just a general running theme I keep hearing about. Interesting that she specified certain Rue girls, but that the tweet was not about anyone in particular. Oh. And Bob chimed in, tweeting, I agree with the comments. Say their names. I want to know who these queens being C words are. But the apparent drama was very short-lived when, on the same day, Bob later tweeted this. Me and River Medway are good, everyone. Sorry to report. Next up, hopping down the camping trail, it's Charity Kase. This look immediately brought me back to my sick, twisted, demented childhood when I would watch Happy Tree Friends, which, if you're unfamiliar with that, please don't Google it. Anyway, this look is very Charity. As someone who was a fan of her art before the show, I think it's really cool to see what literally looks like one of her Instagram posts plopped right out of the internets and dropped onto the stage of RuPaul's Drag Race. She has spray painted this custom rabbit suit and she looks absolutely terrifying. And I love it. The more scared I am, the better. I will say my only critique/criticism that I had looking at this look was, why is she dressed as a rabbit? Like, are rabbits somehow related to camping? I don't know. I've never been. And don't plan to either. But yeah, this look is another fatality. It's hot. Taking a look at her campfire couture look though, my first thought when I saw this one was Mad Hatter, and then I was like, oh, maybe she was doing some kind of like Alice in Wonderland thing where she was the white rabbit at the beginning and now she has become the Mad Hatter. I could be wrong though. Anywho, this look is like 50% amazing, 50% a little bit of a letdown. It's definitely a unique silhouette with those giant hips, and I like that it feels fresh with the yellow gingham instead of the typical red. Plus the hat and shoe covers show that she's really thinking about all the details. I think it did come off just a tad, lazy isn't the right word, but I can see the judges using that word because when she turns around, there's nothing there. I think she was too focused on giving the judges a little bit of a thrill that she forgot to keep the thrill a surprise until the last minute. That said, this was still an excellent look, and I think it's absolutely hot. We also got to hear Charity share her story about living with HIV this episode, which I think is really important that RuPaul's Drag Race keeps reiterating and sharing this story when they can, because there are so many people in this big umbrella of a community that we have that don't know much or anything about it, which results in stigma. The important takeaway here being, of course, that a virus does not define somebody, and more importantly, undetectable equals untransmittable. Next up, Cookie. Cookie. I just looked at her photo and thought Cookie Monster. Ooh, Cookie Choriza Monster May. This is definitely one of the strangest looks on the runway tonight. But do I like it? I've been saying this thing about Choriza for the past couple of episodes where she uses so many different textures, pieces, and parts in her looks that she's in danger of losing the message of the outfit on the audience. She has avoided that thus far, but this one, girl, had me scratching my head. Stylistically speaking, as like an abstract garment, I kind of like this look. It's fun. But for the theme happy campers, it just did not deliver. Girl, she said she was a rock climber, then she said she was Dora the Explorer, and I'm like, girl, I think Miss Dora got lost while she was climbing up those rocks, slipped, fell, and died because this look is a rat. Maybe she should have called up her friend River Medway and taken a look at that map. Moving on, her camping couture look. I actually kind of like this one at first too. It was giving me like Evil Villain from K-Word Bill vibes. It certainly wasn't the best thing on the runway, but I think it could have been serviceable on the runway given that we had an entirely different cast because these girls did not come to play. And the more you look at it, the more it does look just a tad arts and craftsy compared to some of the other dress looks that we saw on the runway, like from Ella and Scarlett, which we'll get to here in just a minute. Unfortunately, this look just was not giving what it was supposed to have gave, but I'm gonna give her a warming up instead of a rot because of that crazy story about the ex and the camping and the owl. Next up, may the odds be ever in her favor. It's Scarlett Harlett. We did find the Hunger Games stand in the cast tonight. If you remember her hometown runway, that was kind of giving me Hunger Games like District 1. This one's giving me Katniss District 12. And while it didn't necessarily say camping, like traditionally speaking, I kind of thought about it and I was like, yeah, when you're fighting for your life and death in the wilderness, you do have to camp. So it did ultimately, I think, fit the theme quite well. well. I also love that it had this gothy Mad Max vibe mixed into it, and personally, I'm just kind of a slut for an all-black goth outfit, so I think this look was hot. And her Campfire Couture look is the perfect foil to her Happy Campers look. If our first one was giving Warrior Princess, this one is giving us Easter Sunday. And I'll be totally honest, I did not think that Scarlett had this in her. It is a gorgeous look. I also really enjoyed that she did something relatively simple to what some of the other girls did, but ended up winning nonetheless because of how perfectly executed this dress was. Whoa, this look is hot. Next up, where'd she go? It's Vanity Milan. Okay, the blue camo coat blanket thing, I think could have worked had she totally reworked the idea. I think the main problem with it was that when she turns around, it looks like just a giant duvet cover that she pulled off of her bed. And it looks heavy, like it's sagging and dragging her silhouette down instead of lifting her up or looking flowy and elegant. The other issue, of course, being that under that crazy blue camo blanket, she has on like a pink Power Rangers morph suit, which was a very bold choice. I don't know what she was doing here. I didn't get camping. I really didn't get anything besides confusion from this one. This look's gotta be a rat. And as for her couture look, she can't come to the phone right now. She's all tied up. She had me screaming when she was listing off her references of what inspired this look, including, quote, tribal African princess realness and early Nicki Minaj. I don't know exactly what she was going for, but I think this actually could have been really successful had she had more time and more rope. For example, getting rid of that orange crinoline thing under the rope and layering the rope so that there was just like cascades of different colors of rope down to about that same length would have been really sickening. In my mind's eye, I'm seeing like the camping rope version of Roxy Andrews' candy ball outfit she did that was like twirling and moving as she came down the runway. The other problems being, of course, that she needed to cover those corset buttons and I think needed to reconsider the styling of this look. I'm not gonna get too knotted up about it though. This look is a rat. Next up, she was saved by a flying wild man in a loincloth. It's Vaday. This look, of course, is an obvious reference to Jane from the Disney movie Tarzan. I think it was also one of the more interesting choices for this category that we saw on the runway tonight. I think she and Kitty were the only ones to really get campy in the camp category, which was kind of a shame. That said, I do want to say I feel like this look is a tad costumey, and there's nothing wrong with wearing a costume. There's nothing wrong with costume drag at all. But I do think when you have something that is so exact to a reference that it looks like a costume, you do lose personal elements of what your drag is and could be. Instead of seeing Vaday, I'm seeing Jane of the Jungle. But I do still think this look is hot. In her couture runway, I was really happy to see her in this look. I think the dress was perfect for her. The blonde hair, sexy. She looked hot. And I think for one of the first times dressed, I don't want to say age appropriately, but she has on the past couple of runways, I think made her drag character look a bit older than she needed to. Unfortunately, the look was not perfect though. Those two raincoats that she put together to create the giant shoulder silhouettes looked a little, not thought out, unfinished, mismatched. It just didn't really make a lot of sense. Had she instead taken one raincoat, maybe cropped it at the chest and done a little like shoulder jacket, maybe it could have worked. So the dress and everything without the raincoats gets a hat, but as presented, rat. Next up, looks like she woke up on the wrong side of the bag today. It's Veronica Green. This look is special, unique, and I have no idea what the hell's going on here. In her confessional, she's explaining that this look is a girl who's been at a festival and partying all night long, but I'm getting more prisoner escaped from solitary confinement and is on the run. Because the thing is, there's a way to do bad or intentionally ugly looks in a fashionable way. However, I think intentionally smudging your makeup, not perfectly constructing a dress from the sleeping bag, and then pairing it with mismatched hiking boots just didn't take us all the way to Paris. Instead, we were left out in the cold. This looks a rat. And as for her Campfire Couture look, it was not the metamorphosis that she had hoped it would be. To put it lightly, I think she had a really great idea for this look, I've gotta say. Butterfly coming out of darkness? Brilliant. The sister look to this, of course, being Jasmine Masters' iconic butterfly coming out of a chrysalis runway. I feel like this, Jasmine's runway, and then a curious butterfly runway are like the three horsemen of the apocalypse. Ultimately, I think Veronica was just a little too ambitious. Should have put wings on the back of the dress to be the butterfly wings, but unfortunately they look just more like broken pieces of an umbrella. And the ruffles on the body part of the dress are pretty, but they don't have any actual shape. There's no cinching, and then they randomly stop at her thighs and turn into just like billowing sheets of satin fabric. And then of course there's the makeup that doesn't actually match the rest of the look. This butterfly eye has seen dark days, but hopefully there are only bright ones ahead. This look is a rat. Now, let's talk Victoria's Scone. The pun finally makes sense, because she's gone. On doctor's orders, though. This was really unfortunate, but girl, we all saw this coming. No doctor in their right mind is going to look at somebody with a knee injury and tell them that they should, for the next, 6 to 10 weeks, continue to walk on 6-inch heels and compete in performances where you're going to be dancing your ass off. The thing that was confusing for me, though, was that Rue said we probably haven't seen the last of her, although didn't mention that she had an open invitation to return like they did for Veronica last season. So when will we see her again? Who knows? Hopefully soon though, because she is talented as hell and we're gonna miss her in this competition. Our bottom two tonight are Vanity, Milan, and Veronica Green, which are also my bottom two. Makes perfect sense here. And I did react to this lip sync and the entire episode over on my Patreon at patreon.com/BussyQueen. That's my members only website where my patron family gets exclusive member benefits like early access to my videos, exclusive videos, access to the Bussy Queen Discord server, and more. Click the link in the description of this video to join today. See you there. Overall, this lip sync was good, but Vanity was the obvious win here for me. So Veronica sashays away, but I actually was kind of surprised to see Rue eliminate somebody tonight, considering we are a girl short, which means she could have not done an elimination. Or maybe it means she'll fix the count in another way later by bringing somebody back, or perhaps a double Shantae down the line. Who knows, but let me know what you think will happen down in the comments below. No spoilers though. But concerning Veronica's farewell, the day the episode aired, she wrote this on Instagram. That's it, party's over. I can't say how much I've loved being on RuPaul's Drag Race UK. I'm so grateful to Rue and the entire production team. When production shut down on season 2 in March 2020, I came home to a world that was changed forever and I lost all of my work. Over the summer, I fell into uncontrollable debt and spiraled into depression with no way to get myself out. How could I even think about improving my runways when I was on the verge of bankruptcy? In retrospect, I shouldn't have accepted Rue's invitation to season 3. At the time, I was under so much pressure with season 2 just being announced, was thrust into a worldwide spotlight, and wasn't prepared for season 3. Finishing this whole message with, I really do believe everything happens for a reason though, and I'm in a much better place now. Thank you to everyone that supported me. My love to you all, XVX. It is pretty crazy to see somebody regretting their choice to come back to RuPaul's Drag Race, but it's really nice to see that she has overcome that feeling and is ultimately doing better now. Now on to our winner this week. The win went to Scarlett Harlett, which was a surprise and also not a surprise because I watched the episode and was like, oh, well, Krystal's probably gonna get another win. However, you could see the judges not wanting to give another win to Krystal, telling her that they expected her to basically kill it on the runway tonight, which I don't really know how that's a critique, but that's what they said. It was obvious that they were looking for somebody else to pass a win on to, or else this was quickly going to devolve into Krystal Versace's Drag Race. So all that considered, I think Scarlett was a great choice for the win, but I was surprised to see them totally overlook Charity Kase again. But let me know what you're thinking down in the comments below. Who were your tops, who were your bottoms, and who would you have given the win to and sent home? In other hot tea, RuPaul just dropped this single called Blame It on the Edit, which feels a little strange. The lyrics RuPaul posted to his Instagram read, she wanna blame it on the edit? Blame it on the edit. She wanna blame it on the edit. You the one who said it. Edit. Go on and take the credit. B-word. You the one who said it. B-word. How are you gonna regret it? Blame it on the edit. Blame it on the edit. And I'm not sure where this was coming from or who it could be directed at. Of course, there's many queens in the franchise who have talked about not liking the edit they received from the show, including queens like Alona Burley, Jeremy, FKA Fifi O'Hara, Max, and others. The reason it felt interesting to me was this song was released off the back of Canada's Drag Race about to start, with Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman not returning, blaming his not returning on how the fans responded to his edit. And it gets even stranger considering that RuPaul was good friends with Jeffrey and of course talked with Jeffrey while all of this was going on last season, according to an interview that he did with The Hollywood Reporter. So it seems that Rue is kind of a bit at odds with how production treats people on the show and how people feel they are treated by production on the show, if that makes any sense. But anyways, we'll be doing a deep dive on the truth behind JVC and Canada's Drag Race coming this week, so stay tuned for that. As for my hottest hots, my hottest Happy Campers look goes to Charity Kase. I also asked my patrons to vote for their hottest Happy Campers look and they chose Vaday. My hottest Campfire Couture look is Krystal Versace. And my patrons chose Scarlett Harlett. See y'all later. Love ya. Bye. Oh my God. I just can't stop looking at myself. Oh my God. Okay. Hi, ugly. It's me, Bussy. And welcome back to Hot or Rat. And today, we'll be reviewing episode 4 of RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 3. Our queens were challenged to write lyrics and perform original choreography to a new girls group single called BDE. That's big drag energy, by the way. You nasty. And on the runway, category was Night of 1,000 Spice Girls, with the whole episode appropriately being guest judged by Baby Spice herself. We'll be breaking all of that down, and then at the end of today's episode, spilling some hot tea. It seems Willam is backtracking some claims that she made earlier this summer on Hot Goss in a new episode of Hot Goss, and Veronica has finally spoken out concerning the Ahura situation. Now, let's spice up our lives, shall we? First, we'll be taking a look at the Spice Girls team made up of Krystal, Charity, Kitty, and Scarlett. Krystal comes out first, and the tone that Krystal sets for her group is very bitch track number, which I think is appropriate considering the title and tempo of the song, but the judges said they wanted more. She says, sex on legs, she's the face and the grace. Big, tiny waist. I'm fiercer than fierce. I'm the queen of the queers. It's Krystal with a K. Just sit back and watch me slay. Which, to the judges' credit, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty standard verse for a bitch track, but like, what were they really looking for here? Like, at the end of the day, this is a RuPaul bitch track, not Adele's next single. She's honestly done so well in the competition and proven that she's so well-rounded that I think the judges are even struggling to give her critique on how to improve. This performance from Krystal was hot. And her runway, no surprise, does not disappoint. She's doing a Baby Spice look, which is a baby blue coat that she has dragged up, I think made her own a little bit, and dare I say it might be even a tad bit better than the original. I love what she did with the longer pigtails and how she made the silhouette even more dramatic with her crazy proportions and the way the coat is tailored. Hit me, Baby Spice, one more time. This look is hot. Next up, Charity, and after this episode, she might need some. We know off the bat her lyrics are gonna be weird, kooky, and crazy, but did she play it up just a little too much tonight? She sang, "It's Charity Kase, I am the glamour disgrace, the wicked witch of drag. Have I got snot on my face? Yeah, I'm a sinner, gonna be a winner. All dressed up, looking like the dog's dinner. Might be a bottom, but it's hard to top me. Come on, Ru, give the crown to Charity." I think this verse actually started off good. Like, the first half was really solid, unique, and fun. The second part got a little confusing. It might be a bottom, but it's hard to top me is a really funny line, but I just don't think fit the theme or feel of the song. And then I think she committed the cardinal sin of writing a RuPaul bitch track. Come on, Ru, give the crown to Charity. The number of verses that end with give me the crown, give the crown to me, girl, far too much. On top of the fact that she was like trying way too hard to stand out and be like the different one of the group. Bubble, bubble, toil, and girl, you're in trouble. This was a her runway though, girl, if I've ever seen anybody do 180 in one episode, she's doing Scary Spice, and Mel B was pretty well known for her leopard and I guess in general cat print looks. Hence what we have going on here. The judges made a pretty big deal of her not looking like Mel B, like not truly giving the Spice Girls fantasy, but the funny thing was that Baby Spice was sitting up there being like, oh my god, Mel B would love this. She would wear this. I loved it because I felt like I was looking at a video game NPC that's like about to give you a side quest, but first you have to solve their riddles. Charity, this look is literally scary. And hot. Next up, the Cockney Queen is in the house. Scarlett Harlett. This one I will say I was nervous for as soon as the episode started and we heard what they were doing because we just saw her in the Dragaton little situation and not being in time with the rest of her group. Her lyrics went like this. The Cockney Queen's in the house, Scarlett's quiet like a mouse. And like my beep, I'm going in raw, the campiest queen you ever saw. All you other girls get out my pub. Fade into the background, can't relate. Think you're gonna beat me? Pff, no mate. I was like super taken aback watching this when she said the raw line and then confused when she called herself the campiest queen you ever did see because I guess I wouldn't really think of her being or describe her as a campy queen. So I'm not sure what she was going for there. I think she just wanted something that rhymed. And in general, the lyrics really were all over the place. Like one second we're talking about eating in a pub and the next we're doing it raw. So girl? And maybe she could have made all these crazy lyrics work had she not also forgotten them in the performance and missed a lot of her choreography, which really did hurt to watch, but I'll be honest, it kind of made me love her even more. I was like, oh my god, so relatable, like when the anxiety gets to you and you literally just blank. Although it was, of course, horrible for her that it happened in front of RuPaul, Michelle, Baby Spice, and was televised to an international audience. Scarlett, feel for you. But yeah, this performance was a rat. And unfortunately on the runway, we didn't really get a redemption from Scarlett tonight. I think this look was headed in the right direction. It's a direct reference to one of Mel B's looks. However, I think the proportions of the boots and dress are just a tad off, which make her entire silhouette look almost too short or tiny, and she's actually quite a tall girl. Plus, she didn't really customize the look or put her stamp on it, which made it feel more like a wannabe instead of the real deal. This look is a rat. Next up, she's got talent and claws. It's Kitty. Firstly, she was absolutely phenomenal throughout the entire episode. She sang, "Lock up your doubts, it's Kitty Scott-Claus, dancing around the street, make you wanna wet your drawers. Birmingham babe moved to London town. Watch out, Huns, I mean to snatch that crown. Material girl with the funnies and sass, knockers for days and a real juicy bringing the camp to season 3. Sweetie darlings, it's all about me." Her lyrics were solid, funny, and I think accurately described herself, and were just bitch tracky enough. This was hot. And on the runway, she has another home run. She's doing a Baby Spice look, which I think she wore on the 2019 reunion tour. It's almost an exact replica, and I love that she probably already had this in her closet. We of course learned this episode that she's not only part of multiple girl groups, but also does Baby Spice regularly in drag. And while this look wasn't customized, like I think some of the other really great looks were tonight, I did appreciate it because the reference was so spot on and exact. Kitty, this look is hot. Next up, team 2, pick and mix, just like Chex Mix. And this group got the mid-tempo version of BDE, which I thought, oh, it's gonna flop. A mid-tempo pop song? Probably not best for Drag Race, but girl, did they turn it out. First in the group is Vaday, and she gave us one hell of a performance. She sang, "Drag beast from the east, it's Vaday. Got BDE and I'm here to stay. Like a singing assassin, I keep you gagging, keep you guessing, baby. Never keep your feelings inside, embrace yourself and show your pride. You're stronger than you know. Make every day Vaday." Ella, I think, does a great job for setting the tone of this version of BDE. This version, instead of being a bitch track like the previous one, is going to be more about self-empowerment and love, with a touch of subtle flexing. And she did great, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna give her verse and performance a hat. However, I have to say, I almost wanted a little more power out of her voice. She really built herself up early in the season, talking about how she got the wicked spot that Veronica had been lusting after. All of that to say, I think I would have been 10 times more impressed had she not set herself up to be such an excellent theatrical performer so early in the season. And on the runway, she is doing a dragged up, customized version of Sporty Spice's look in Wannabe. At first I was like, okay, she's giving me way too much butch. And then I was like, wait, I kind of love it. It was silly, ridiculous, fun, and I feel like we're really starting to see Ella's personality come out, which is nice. And speaking of flexing tonight, did y'all catch those biceps and those push-ups? Vaday, this look is hot and sweaty. Next up, Vanity Milan. In the challenge, she sang, "Vanity Milan, I'ma hit the ground running. Don't shy or hide away from nothing. Live your life. Ha! Do it right. Your skin won't define who you are inside. Never worry about what people say. It's our life. We'll make it anyway. Hey, say it loud. Yeah, say it proud. BDE, girl, bow down." Technically speaking, I think her verse did have maybe a tad too many filler words like ha, yeah, and hey. However, she delivered her verse well, had a unique message, and definitely fit the essence of the song. And I think it definitely showed that she had that fire under her ass after being in the bottom the past 2 episodes. Her performance was hot. On the runway, though, she is doing Scary Spice as well, but in tiger print. And as much as I wanted to like this look tonight, I can't really commit to saying that I did. Like, girl, it's not right, but it's okay. She acknowledges that it is leaning into like the executive fantasy, but I'm not sure why. This look is very like secretary working 9 to 5, but has to hit the stage at 7. I think to improve this look, she maybe should have had some tighter tailoring on the pants to really give that va-va-voom to her silhouette, as well as not include the corset on the outside of her top. I think it really just looked distracting with all of the tiger stripes that were all over the look and the leopard heels, which didn't match. They say a tiger never changes their stripes, so maybe this one should adjust them slightly. This look is a rat. Next up, rolling, rolling. Rolling down River Medway. Not a singer, not a dancer, I'm not a seamstress, but I do look like a brat stall tonight. It's River Medway. In the challenge, her lyrics were, "The river is here, everybody dive in. Loving myself from deep within. Femme every day, I mean 24/7. Missing my mama, but I know she up in heaven. Keep fighting every day, don't worry about a thing or what people say. That's what I really want you to know. Big drag energy for one for all." I liked her verse a lot because she focused on self-love, and it was also a beautiful homage to her mother, who we got a little more context about this episode. River dove dove deep and it paid off. This performance was hot. On the runway though, I was questioning her passion for fashion. Waist up, she's giving me girl power glamazon, and in particular, I love the hair and crown. This is actually a direct reference to one of Ginger Spice's looks. But from the waist down, I'm getting like Richard Simmons' workout video. I think this would have worked a lot better had she done a skirt and given herself a little more of a silhouette in the bottom to round out her figure. Waist up, I think this look is absolutely hot. But let's stop right there because the rest is a rat. Next up, Spicy Spice. It's Choriza. In the challenge, she's saying, "This is my rebellion, this is my chance to take over the world from Spain to the UK. My art is of me, you have nothing to say. You're not ready for Theresa May." And now in Spanish, I'm known worldwide. "Tell those tarantulas to stop being bitter. Yes, my accent is thick, but much more is my BDE." Hands down, I think Choriza had the funniest verse tonight, mostly because I was a little bit confused at what the hell was going on, but the chaos is what made it so perfect. The tarantulas translation was also a little strange for me. If somebody can give me the reference to why she said tarantulas, please let me know down in the comments below. Overall though, this verse was definitely unique, just like Choriza is, and I think she brought an element of comedy, camp, and ridiculosity, yes, we just invented that word here, to this challenge that was much needed. Choriza, this was hot. And on the runway, her uniqueness shines through again. She was so successful tonight, I think because she did an iconic reference that everybody knows. Like girl, everyone has seen Ginger in this iconic Union Jack dress. It could have been boring, but instead she personalized it, dragged it up, added that beautiful cape with the different colors, the Stone's tights. Did she stone those tights? She delivered an iconic, easily recognizable reference with her own unique drag fantasy. And girl, if she keeps it up, she will be taking over the world from Spain all the way to UK. This look is hot. Overall, I've gotta say, I was so impressed by the Pick and Mix group. They were all kind of our underdogs of the season so far, and each one stood out in their own unique way, while at the same time maintaining big team energy. Everything that the first group did wrong, the second group did right. Their looks were cohesive, their lyrics all matched, and they managed to both brag about themselves while also spreading a message of love. That said, I will say their choreo overall looked a lot easier to learn. That first group was so fast-paced that, girl, if I had been in that group, I would have been flopping all over that stage and probably doing what Charity was doing, crawling on all fours because I didn't know how to dance. The win tonight goes to the entire Pick and Mix group, and our bottom two are from the other group, Scarlett, Harlett, and Charity Kase. And I did react to their lip sync over on my Patreon at patreon.com/bussyqueen. That's my members only website where my Patreon family gets exclusive member benefits like early access to my videos, exclusive videos, access to the Bussy Queen Discord server, and more. Click the link in the description of my video to join today. See you there. The lip sync I think was great from both of them. However, if I had to pick a winner, I would give it to Scarlett Harlett. She just really sold the fantasy for me and was emoting her face in a way that said, I am never gonna let you down ever again. She killed it. Charity, I think, selling an equally as great fantasy. However, it was a little bit masked by her mask. It was just kind of hard to see what she was doing. But Rupaul does use a double save and keeps both of them in the competition. This, I think, being a really perfect opportunity to use a double Shantae because these two queens, from what we've seen so far, are easily top 4 competitors. And seeing either of them go home this episode really just wouldn't have felt right, especially considering Scarlett won last week. Overall for this episode though, I think the judges made all the right calls. The bottom two made perfect sense and the winning team also correct. And we'll be covering hottest haunts at the end of the video, but let's go ahead and move on to the drama and sip some tea. First up, Veronica Green. She did an interview with Tia Coffee where she spilled the Tia about how she really felt concerning the Ahura situation. You know, the one where Ahura said this.
And I would Veronica mean because why? Because she's annoying, she's a little backstage also. She gets kicked out fairly early on season 3, so why not f her off again?
And Veronica had up until this point maintained her silence concerning what was going on, but has now said this.
So Ahura has reached out to me privately. I ignored it and then left the season 2 WhatsApp chat. The timing's not right. When I feel ready, I'll talk to her and we can have a proper chat about it and talk about it. Because when it comes to that video, I'm not bothered whether somebody likes me or not. People are free to say whatever they like about me behind my back because people's opinions of me is none of my business. I don't actually hold that against her, you know. It's not nice to listen to when you're being tagged in it by 1,000,001 people. She can say that and that's that's her right to have that opinion of me.
Finishing the interview saying that she ultimately was more upset with Ahura spoiling her early elimination than anything else. Next up, Willam. In the latest Hot Goss episode with Alaska on their podcast, she's heard backtracking what she said earlier this summer concerning the production of RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 3. This is what she originally said.
Season 3 of Drag Race was filming over here, and they did 1 episode a day. They cranked it the out because Ru had to film something else right after, I guess, the international season.
And now on the recent episode, Willam is saying this.
There's some people on the internet that think that I meant when I said they shot some episodes in 1 day, that every episode this season was shot in 1 day. Every episode this season on the UK season was not shot in 1 day, but there were some that were shot in 1 day. And one of those days was, recent.
And as I said when I originally played that first clip for y'all in my previous Hot or Rot episode, their podcast is called Hot Goss, not Hot Truth. And as it turns out, the goss was only partially true. Allegedly. Which, funnily enough, we actually did get a confessional from Scarlett Harlett this episode, talking about how she'd be rehearsing the choreography for filming the next day. So yeah, the filming schedule might have been a bit more normal than we all had previously believed. All of this, of course, being a great reminder that tea is fun to sip on, but what you see online may not always be the truth. Now, on to Hottest Hots. This week, my Hottest Hot on the runway goes to Choriza May. I also asked my patrons to vote for their Hottest Hot, and they've chosen Krystal Versace. See y'all later. Love ya. Bye. As if. Hi, ugly. It's me, Bussy, and welcome back to Hot or Rat. And today we'll be reviewing episode 5 of RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 3, which in my opinion was the most chaotically judged episode yet. I think I speak for more than just myself when I say that the outcome of the episode left me scratching my head. Or maybe that's just my lice. Who knows? Our queens were split into 2 teams and then challenged to market a Drag Lexa, a parody of Alexa. And the runway category was Expenny, Henny, which is RuPaul for expensive looking drag. And since y'all have been enjoying my rankings so much, we'll be breaking down those runways all the way from Hottest Rat to Hottest Hot. Then we'll dissect that main challenge and take a look at Scarlett's breakdown. Let's charge up Daddy's credit card. First up, it's Choriza May, RuPaul's favorite meat. Miss Choriza is sitting at the bottom of my list at Hottest Rot today because this outfit did not strike gold. She's kind of serving me like Ashley Tisdale hits the red carpet back in the 2000s vibes with this. There's just something about a boot and a mid-thigh length skirt that does not flatter many people, myself included. And this look actually really surprised me coming from Choriza, considering she has such interesting taste, which usually turns out pretty good on the runway. Worst of all, though, I think it just doesn't even meet the runway category of looking expensive. It kind of gives me like Carmen Sandiego Party City costume vibes. Sorry. This look is gonna be a rat. Next up, she evidently gives a great blow dry. It's Krystal Versace. It kind of hurts me to put Krystal this low on my list tonight, and don't get me wrong, I think she looks gorgeous, but she always does. I think we've been so consistently impressed by Krystal throughout the competition so far, and she has set the bar so high for herself that something like this just doesn't really, I think, meet her own standard. I do agree with what the judges were saying. It is slightly club wear, and this would look amazing on a stage. Like, to see her lip syncing in this, the way the stage lights would bounce off all those crystals would be stunning. But Expenny Henny? I'm not necessarily buying it. Plus, I was a little thrown off by the shoe not matching the outfit, so this one is also going to be a rat for the runway category. I think she's gorgeous. Next up, Vanity Milan. This is certainly not the first time that Kim Kardashian's Mugler dress from the Met Gala has graced the RuPaul's Drag Race stage, but it may be one of the best interpretations thus far. I think the trouble with recreating such an iconic look like the one that Kim wore to the Met Gala is that it's always gonna be less stunning than the original, no matter what you do. That said, I am confidently ranking this look as looking more expensive than both Krystal's and Choriza's, and the judges are right. Vanity's makeup game is definitely improving, and I think she looks very pretty on the runway tonight. If I were gonna improve this look to make it look just a tad more expensive, I probably would add more crystals, and maybe turn it from a cat suit to a gown. What she's serving though, I'm gonna go ahead and give a warming up. Next up, Miranda Priestley on the runway, groundbreaking. I caught the reference as soon as she stepped out to the stage, and I bought it. No, she's not dripping in jewels or crystals or anything like that, but I think she looks the most chic of the looks that we've seen so far. I really enjoyed this different take on looking expensive, and she is kind of giving us like that older Meryl Streep vibe from The Devil Wears Prada, which I love, but maybe it's just because I love the movie so much. The judges told her that she could have done more with this look, and Michelle was like, you should have brought your cane all the way down the runway. And like, sure, but like also the silhouette of this is absolutely amazing, and Scarlett looks gorgeous. Scarlett, this look is red hot. Next up, make sure to look back at it. It's Ella Vaday. She says she is wearing her Gwen Verdon inspired wig, which is referring to a Broadway show called Sweet Charity, which is very appropriate for Ella, I suppose. This dress, I do have this high on the list because I do think it looks more expensive than anything we've seen so far, but I still had a couple of issues with it here and there. Michelle says that this wig ages her a bit, and I do want to say there is something about Ella's style that feels slightly older than she actually is. And I don't think that that's a bad thing at all, because it can definitely be played into, and I think drag of all ages should be represented, whether the queen behind the age is actually that age or not. For example, Vanilla Creme kind of plays this older motherly character, and I live for that. But the problem with Ella is that she's giving this like very specific style that I think her personality isn't quite yet matching. All that to say, I actually really did enjoy this look, especially when we saw the reveal when she turned around and bam, an entire chandelier cascading down her back. Who would have thought? Ella, this look is hot. Next up, penny for your thoughts, it's Kitty Scott-Claus. Kitty is another queen who, interestingly, is looking more beautiful and beautiful every single week on the runway. There is just something about this adorable updo and that cat suit and the way all those little copper things are just dangling from different parts of her body that makes her look really, really beautiful. And I think with Kitty, we really are starting to see the intersection of personal style and expenny henny in the actual look come together, which is why she's in this spot on my list. Kitty, this look is hot. Next up, you want thingamabobs? She's got plenty. It's Charity Kase. On the runway, girl, this outfit is completely insane in all the best ways. She says she is giving us evil tooth fairy coming to steal all of your mother's jewels. And this is one of those looks that gets better and better the more you look at it. The details on it, all those things and jewels and gold pieces glued to every single inch of the bodice and the crazy wings and the hat. I've never seen anything like this grace the RuPaul's Drag Race runway. And not only is everything that she's wearing gorgeous, but she has also brought a fun character to the runway. I love seeing her little weird, creepy fantasy world come to life on the Drag Race stage, and definitely gonna miss her. Spoiler alert. Of course, tonight, Michelle took the opportunity to tell Charity that what she was doing was amazing, but what if she had come out here in full glam? What if? Which, from a viewer's perspective, I felt like that was a little bit of a slap in the face to Charity because she has come out in full glam. Y'all remember that orange dreamsicle look she wore? And the judges told Charity that the look was wearing her. I mean, the amount of versatility showed by Charity throughout the competition so far has been, in my opinion, quite high, so that critique felt very misplaced tonight. I think tonight it became very apparent that the judges didn't really see Charity as the representative that they want of RuPaul's Drag Race, for whatever reason. But my dear Charity, this look is absolutely hot. And finally, my hottest hot tonight goes to River Medway. She really is sneaking through this competition. Like, girl, she's quiet as a mouse. Oh, wait, that's Scarlett's line. But I really do feel like River is going to sneak and surprise her way into the top 4. Like, before anybody knows it, they're gonna look around, she's gonna be standing right there, and maybe she'll even take the crown. If she keeps turning looks like this and performing the way that she did in the challenge, I definitely see that as a possibility. Anyway, on to the actual look. She says she is representing her heritage, an East Southeast Asian culture, and is wearing the colors red and gold because they represent wealth. And if any look on the runway tonight does look expenny henny, it's this one. And I also asked my patrons to vote on their hottest hot over on my Patreon at patreon.com/BussyQueen, and they too voted for River Medway. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at that crazy challenge. It kind of felt to me like whatever the queens were supposed to do was not properly communicated to them. Or maybe they didn't have enough time to actually execute their ideas. Let's take a look at what happened. Team Scarlett's approach to the Drag Lexa commercial was to physically manifest Drag Lexa as each of them throughout the different scenes, which, yes, to the judges' credit, it felt like a total fever dream to watch this because I'm trying to figure out like who's who and why they're switching so many times in the different scenes. And overall, I will say it felt like maybe each queen wrote their own script and then they tried to put them all together and then it came up with this. My opinion on how the queens performed in Team Scarlett was that Ella and Kitty were the best of the group, and both Choriza and Scarlett had strange, almost confusing energy. Like, I think maybe they had a certain character in their mind they were trying to deliver that didn't translate through the TV. I would say the commercial as a whole gets a rod, but I would still give Kitty and Ella hots because I feel like they did the best they could. And my favorite part of this group was the awkward laughter from Kitty at the end because, like, I guess she thought they did pretty good, and then Ru and Michelle just like throw everyone the dirtiest nasty as looks. I do also want to bring up a really strange critique that we heard from Michelle that I'm honestly kind of surprised that the editors left in. She points out that Choriza has a really thick accent and that she could have used her accent and ability to speak Spanish in a comedic way. And I will say queens in past seasons like Yara Sofia and Alexis Mateo have used their Spanish speaking abilities and accents to their advantage in certain challenges. However, it always seemed like they did it at their own will, whereas I feel like asking somebody that speaks Spanish or has a thick accent to try to make their thick accent the butt of a joke, I don't know. It just came off a little strange for me. Team Krystal's commercial as a whole felt way more coherent. I knew what was going on and I even laughed. I thought Vanity was the funniest and I think River definitely deserved more credit than the judges gave her for what she did as the voice of Draglexa. Interestingly, we hear from Michelle that she thought Vanity is still too quiet, which she was literally yelling in the commercial, screaming. And I was like, what? Like it almost sounded like Michelle was like reading from a list of storyline characteristics that were supposed to be about Vanity rather than actually watching and critiquing the commercial. And then Alan Carr critiques Krystal for using, I guess, like a cliche or too cheap of a joke about blow drying her hair. I was literally just sitting there like, what is going on? Like they were not that bad. I feel like they're just looking for random things and not even making sense. And then everything started clicking when Rupaul told the queens there was a twist. There was going to be no winner and everyone was considered up for elimination. It was clear to me at this point that the whole thing kind of felt like manufactured drama. The main critiques that Ru gives the girls is that she's really disappointed and she's seen it all before. Just really kind of vague general things. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, of course you probably have seen it all before. We're about to go into our 14th US season. We've done 6 seasons of All-Stars, and this is the 3rd UK season and the 2nd in the same year. Again, all very bizarre, and I think this episode is a great example of how the producers could spin a narrative in the direction that they want the rest of the season to go, simply by throwing a wrench in the plans of finding a winner like this. And Rupaul does take some of the blame, saying that she should have spent more time going over the team's storyboards, and less time looking for Choriza's sausage? Perhaps. And then the final twist of this episode is that Ru asks everyone who they think should go home. There are 5 votes for Scarlett, 2 for Charity, and 1 for Vanity Milan, which naturally leads us to Scarlett's breakdown. I think her reaction here was very normal. I mean, I probably would have felt the same way if 5 of the queens who I thought were my friends threw me under the bus like that too. And the whole situation really starts to heat up when Ella and River tell Scarlett that she needs to listen instead of talking over people. Scarlett then leaves untucked, cools down, and comes back, at which point the rest of the queens do try to console her a little bit, but it's clear here that Scarlett has fully let that inner saboteur take over, even saying she felt like the people that she loved and respected didn't love and respect her back. And I'm breaking all this down because it was so heated in that untucked room and Scarlett got so angry. And as a reminder, this is a super high pressure environment. So like, think about how you would react in a situation like this, where you are pretty much every single day working your ass off, sometimes spending 10, 12 hours in drag. And finally, back on the main stage, we learn that Charity and Scarlett are our bottoms of the week, which if you remember just happened. Deja vu, anyone? This to me, as the rest of the judging did tonight, felt a little strange. Sure, it does appear that they just picked the queens with the most votes, but I think having 2 is hardly a majority or reason to put you in the bottom, especially considering that the team captain of Charity's team, Krystal, allowed Charity to take over the team captain responsibility instead of actually performing the lead role. And in a challenge like this where both teams are being told that they did not give what was supposed to be gave, it just makes a whole lot more sense to me to choose the team captains as the bottoms. This of course was all made even stranger by the fact that the only critique Charity received in her performance in the challenge was that she was beautiful. Like there was just no reason to put her in the bottom. We do get an encore lip sync from Scarlett and Charity, and you can catch my reaction to that over on my Patreon at patreon.com/BussyQueen. That's my members only website where my patron family gets exclusive member benefits like early access to my videos, access to exclusive videos, access to the Bussy Queen Discord server, and more. Click the link in the description of my video to join today. But yeah, this was definitely a tough one, and this one I think was actually more deserving of the double Shantae than the one from last week. My overall opinion though is that Scarlett won. Charity gave a really creepy, strange performance of this. It actually made a lot of sense, but Scarlett's was even better. She was literally fighting for her life. It is really difficult, I think, to see somebody emote their face properly when they have most of it covered by some sort of prosthetic, which is kind of how I felt last week about her lip sync as well. Anyways, Charity sashays away and we are left with an interesting group. Definitely not the top 7 I probably would have picked from the jump, but lots of talent in there. However, I feel like we're still waiting on on storylines to develop. Like, it almost feels like we are stalled in this season. Like, where are we going to go? When are we going to get a good group challenge? We've had Dragaton, and now this one kind of flop. And I'm not necessarily blaming the queens, but maybe the rushed production schedule for allowing things like this to fall flat. But anyway, I would love to hear y'all's thoughts on this, so please sound off in the comments below and let me know. Who was your hottest hot this week? How would you rank the looks? Who would you put in the bottom two? And what do you think about all this rigamoris? See y'all later. Love ya. Bye. Hi, Ugly. It's me, Bussy, and welcome back to Hot or Rat. And today we'll be reviewing episode 6 of RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 3. This episode's challenge was Snatch Game, and on the runway the category was Feeling Fruity. But I think the fruitiest part of this episode might have just been the judging. Hey RuPaul, UK, hun? We've got a lot to cover today, so in no particular order, let's get started. Every town has one. It's Scarlett Harlett. Scarlett's first thought for Snatch Game is to do Danny Dyer, who is a UK television star, but RuPaul says, how about an American reference? Something the US people watching might understand. And no, she didn't really say that. That was a joke. But Scarlett does give her one that he laughs at. Macaulay Culkin from Home Alone, when he was like 7. Now, I was actually super surprised to see Scarlett suggest that she could do Macaulay Culkin, and even more surprised to see RuPaul encourage Macaulay Culkin, because yeah, it's like an obvious visual reference, but where is the depth and performance? Where are the layers of this character? Like, I'm sure Scarlett was thinking the same thing, but throws caution to the wind and says, you know what? When Miss Mother RuPaul says I better do something, I better mother tucking do it. And thankfully she did. The performance she gave as Macaulay was good. I think why it continued to be good mostly was because it tickled RuPaul so greatly to see Scarlett make that Home Alone scared face. And I think Scarlett was truly committed to that character, and every time she did the scream face, it got more and more intense, which I think was the only way to keep making that funnier, because it's like there were no other real jokes there. Scarlett trapped herself in a one-dimensional character, but milked it for all it was worth. But at least it was entertaining. I'm gonna give this performance a hot. On the runway though, seeing this color makes me side with Michelle. I no longer like green either. I'm not sure what the hell is going on here. It is 3 different silhouettes in one. It's like a giant lime green clown suit, and then she's got on that fresh lime green hair right out of the bag. My biggest problems though are not necessarily with the silhouette of the dress, but I think the color of it against Scarlett's super pale skin, and the way she's accessorized it with that giant necklace and earrings that just totally eat up her neck and make her look stunted up top. Plus, I think in no cinematic universe is this giving fruit. As the judges said, this is giving lettuce. Scarlett, this look hidden iceberg tonight. It's a rat. Next up, Kitty Scott-Claus and jokes. As Bru was walking around the workroom asking who's going to do who in Snatch Game, Kitty reveals she's going to be doing Celia Black, and RuPaul says, how about something else? How about something that I know and want to laugh at? How about Gemma Collins? And to be fair, I think Kitty is pretty well known for doing Gemma Collins. I mean, she does look just like her. But we do see this trend of RuPaul asking the queens to change their characters continue for whatever reason, and Kitty listens. Her only hesitation for doing Gemma being that Cheryl had done Gemma on season 1, apparently using Kitty's wig. Ultimately though, I do think it was smart for her to change her character. I think in Snatch Game, you really gotta do what you do best, even if it's been done before. Your only challenge if it has been done before is to, I think, do it better than the person who did it before you. And Cheryl, I'm sorry, but Kitty definitely did that. In fact, I would say what Kitty did in the Snatch Game was like a masterclass of how to succeed in Snatch Game. She took every opportunity. She knew the character inside out and transformed them into a deeper parody of herself, and really took it all the way, even ending with a reveal to like the candy swimsuit thing. Kitty definitely gave a performance tonight. But on the runway, I was a little confused, intrigued, but confused. I saw Little Red Riding Hood, I saw Assassin's Creed, I saw grapevines, and I'm like, girl, what is she doing here? And then she gets a little closer and I'm like, oh, she got cherries on, but they're on vines? I was so confused. Then she starts to tell us that she is indeed giving a Red Riding Hood meets Poison Ivy meets Popping Cherry fantasy. I don't know what this was all about, but hey, at least it looks damn good on her. And to her credit, I suppose mixing all these crazy references is a bit fruity, so I'm gonna give this look a hot. Next up, rolling Rolling on River Medway. In the Snatch game, she does Amy Childs, and yes, Rue did try to change her Snatch game too, but didn't seem like River had much of a backup, so she stuck with Amy. This is another character from the TV show The Only Way is Essex, who Gemma Collins was also from. And the little bit that I was familiar with Gemma, mostly because of like Drag Race UK references, I was even less familiar with Amy. The funny thing is that she started decently, and I think pretty much everybody on the Snatch game did, and overall, the Snatch game was pretty good, I have to say, but she really fell flat as the Snatch game progressed. Rue would ask her something and shouldn't have good answers, or she'd try to volley with Kitty and then Kitty would outwit her. Like for example with that ream word, which I'm assuming is some sort of situation akin to like what happened in Mean Girls with Gretchen and Regina and the word fetch? Maybe one of y'all can help me out in the comments down below. So yeah, not only was River's Snatch game not good, it also was made even worse by the fact that she was essentially competing with Kitty, who was killing it. Sorry River, but this was a rat. And on the runway, well, she certainly served fruit. She says she's giving us fruit bowl fantasy, and she says she made this look herself. That's all I'm gonna say about that. The upside down cup or bowl that she says that this is. Okay, I'm sorry, it's so bad. Just random pieces of fruit glued to her little body. No silhouette besides what looks like, what do they call them? A bell head, bell top, bell head, bell top. River, it's rough, y'all. That's all I can say. This fruit is rotten. Next up, we learn that even being Rue's favorite sausage isn't enough to keep you in the competition. It's Choriza May. Seeing what happened to Choriza tonight was, I think, one of my saddest moments that I've had watching Drag Race so far, at least in this season. She won the reading challenge because, hey, she is naturally funny. And I was like, oh, this is gonna translate excellently into the Snatch game. The judges didn't think so. I personally, though, didn't have a problem with her Snatch game. I thought she was hilarious. She was doing this singer who I guess is better known as an eccentric performer named Margarita Bracatan. I was not at all familiar with this person, so I thought Choriza's like eccentric eyes and the crazy things that she was saying were very funny. And while I was watching Snatch Game, I was actually thinking that she had pretty good banter with Rue whenever she was asked to fill in a blank. But then when it came time for judgment, it seemed that the judges were changing their tune. Rupaul says that Choriza didn't push Margarita beyond the obvious, and the other judges say that she basically fizzled out over time. And again, I don't think that that was something that we as viewers saw. Maybe that's what they experienced there in real life, but that wasn't shown in the edit. So I was very confused, at least until I realized that, oh, RuPaul also asked Choriza to change her Snatch Game character, and she did not comply. The person that Ru asked her to change to being Cher, of all people. It was very out of left field suggestion, especially for someone like I think Choriza, and it just made me wonder, was RuPaul just sitting back thinking, I really want to laugh at a Cher impersonation today. Anyways, even though she bored the judges, I thought her performance felt fresh, and I'm gonna give it a hat. And on the runway, she's giving us the original Brazilian bombshell, Carmen Miranda. I really enjoyed her take on Carmen because she, I think, is classically known in people's heads for carrying a basket of mixed fruits. But Choriza said, you know what? I'm gonna go with just one, the juiciest one, a peach. And she kind of also transformed the rest of the outfit into her own fantasy as well with unique colors. And I love the little custom fruit stickers that she ironed onto the back of the dress like you'd see on a fruit in a fruit basket. Choriza, call me by your name because this was hot. Next up, London, Paris, Vanity, Milan. In the Snatch Game, she's doing a character called Miss Kingston, played by the actress Jocelyn G. Esian. And when I was watching the Snatch Game, I originally had no idea who this character was, and so I was thinking, okay, I guess she's doing a decent job. Like, I wasn't rolling on the floor laughing, but it also didn't feel like she was falling totally flat. But I did leave that Snatch Game thinking that Jocelyn was some sort of like chef, given the Dirty Rice references that she made. But as it turns out, I did some research and learned that Miss Kingston is this rowdy, audacious, loud, graphic, and man-hating teacher that comes into these classrooms and basically just terrorizes small children. As an example, in one clip I watched, she even taught the children a modified nursery rhyme where they were chopping off a man's bazungas. Very relatable. And I have to say, Vanity was absolutely none of that. The accent, Jamaican, yes, for sure, but Miss Kingston, she was not. This was a rot. A dirty rot. if you will. And on the runway, is that a hair in her fruit or a fruit in her hair? This is, I think, both a good and bad look. It contains multitudes. The dress itself with those big, giant arm sleeve ruffles, I think is pretty and chic. I like the little ruffled skirt moment down at the bottom, but the rest of it I'm not a huge fan of. And like, given the tiny amount of fruit in the basket on her head, does it really meet the category? It kind of felt like a last minute addition to the look rather than planning a runway look based around feeling fruity. I do definitely want to give her credit though for the basket that she put the fruit in being made of hair. That is pretty cool. The dress, I'll give a hot, but the outfit overall as accessorized and for this runway category, I'm not feeling it. It's gonna be a rat. Next up, she found the recipe to success this episode. It's Vaday. In the Snatch game, her original plan is to do Mystic Meg, but you guessed it, RuPaul asked her to change. Her backup, as it turns out, is Nigella Lawson, another UK character that I was unfamiliar with. From what I've gathered, she is some sort of like celebrity chef known for her everyday recipes, kind of comparable to Rachel Ray, at least based on what I've gathered in my limited research. The one thing I was a little bit confused about though is that the judges were, I guess, praising Ella for perfectly capturing some of the sexual undertones that Nigella has in her cooking videos, but I watched them and can't say that I felt that energy. That said, I loved the sexual overtones that Ella added to her performance. And ultimately, I think Ella did what you absolutely need to do in Snatch Game. Take an everyday celebrity with a bit of a unique personality and play up those small eccentricities to their highest degree and make them funny. Ella took this performance and cooked it to a perfect 69 degrees in the microwave. This performance was hot. And on the runway, I just want to taste it. She's giving us a beautiful watermelon, and seriously, look at those melons. Fantasy. This is definitely my favorite look from Ella so far. I love that she turned this like little cape kind of moment into a train. Some interactivity on the runway. We live for that. And the color looked great on her. It feels unique, personal, campy, and fun. And I have to say, I was truly impressed by Ella overall this episode from start to finish. She's somebody that, as she says people often do, I kind of underestimated going into this season, but girl, color me impressed. This look was hot. Next up, the judges have built up quite a tolerance for her, but they still can't put her down. It's Krystal Versace. In the Snatch game, she is doing this character called Charity Shop Sue, who is this very dryly delivered, eccentric charity shop manager who gets into all sorts of hijinks in her charity shop. And this was, I think, a big challenge, honestly, for Snatch Game. And like Vanity, I think Krystal too made the mistake of choosing somebody that was already funny and then failed to transform her or make her into something new. I thought for sure Krystal was getting the flop edit and they were gonna put her in the bottom. And then we got to the critiques and all of a sudden the judges were like praising her for making such a brave choice and like stepping out of her shell. And I was like, what's going on here? Ru even goes as far to say that he had fun with her charity shop Sue, and then gives Krystal the biggest RuPaul stamp of approval that could ever possibly be given. Ru says she is so happy and proud that at 19 she has found what she is truly meant to be, a drag queen. And to be clear, I don't disagree. I absolutely think Krystal is an excellent drag queen and has a vast ocean of success in her future if she wants it. But wow, that must have felt so validating, especially after giving a pretty mediocre, if not bad, Snatch Game performance. Anyways, I think it's pretty clear I thought her charity shop Sue deserved to be in the bin. It was a rot. And on the runway, she served the true forbidden fruit. Seconds. She comes out in what is essentially the dragon fruit skin version of the design challenge runway that she created earlier this season. And the judges do call her out for it, but I can't say that I fault her in any way for having this happen. I think she did what anybody would have done in the design challenge. She gave it her all, and I do think it paid off for her then, and it was just an unfortunate coincidence that she later had to wear a runway that looked kind of like one she's already worn. This look is by no means bad though. I love the like pink and green coloring of of the jagged bodice mixed with the bodysuit that has the seeds on it. Like, the concept behind this is brilliant. This is the second week in a row now, though, that she is kind of lacking an element of surprise on the runway, and I'm not sure how she can really fix that, given that they're already, you know, waist deep in the competition. What she has in her closet is what she has in her closet. I think Krystal definitely put the drag in dragon fruit tonight. This look is hot. So now let's take a look at where the episode got really fruity. So Vaday takes the win tonight, which was no surprise, and also who I would have picked for the win. Kitty's Gemma was excellent, and as I said, a masterclass in what to do in Snatch Game, but it did lack an element of freshness for me personally, while Ella's felt brand new. And then the episode starts to get fruity. Rupaul puts Choriza and River into the bottom. And again, it was really weird to hear them critique Choriza in the way that they did, because she had a pretty good Snatch Game edit, and I really did not peg her to be in the bottom at all. Like, it absolutely should have been Vanity and River or Krystal and River. But given how RuPaul sees Krystal as a god among drag queens, we know that she's not going to put Krystal in the bottom, and they're also kind of keeping their eye on Vanity for this, like, showing up to the competition storyline. So I guess she wasn't an option either. So there goes Choriza. But I think we also have to mention that RuPaul asked pretty much every queen to change their Snatch Game. And guess what? Choriza and River were the only two who we saw face this dilemma not change their Snatch Game. Coincidence? I'll let you decide, but to me, it did kind of feel like almost RuPaul's way of trying to have a really heavy hand in production and not seeing something go the way that he exactly wanted it to, so he decided to punish somebody? I don't know, maybe I'm reading into it way too much, but it felt a little strange that that's how it wound up. And then we get the gag of the season. Well, the second gag of the season. Actually, the third. Victoria's medical disqualification being the first, nobody winning last week being the second, and now this. Choriza and River are both sent home after their lip sync. The ultimate punishment for not listening to RuPaul's advice on changing your Snatch Game character. And I did react to this lip sync, which you definitely want to catch over on my Patreon at patreon.com/BussyQueen. That's my members only website where my patron family gets exclusive member benefits like early access to my YouTube videos, access to exclusive videos, access to the Bussy Queen Discord server, and more. Click the link in the description of my video to join today. See you there. But my true honest opinion is that neither girl lip synced for their life. I didn't see like the fire or passion. And so I think it is definitely justifiable to have both of them sashay away. Choriza's hair malfunction kind of made her look like a confused, disoriented, escaped prison inmate. And when River took off that fruit bowl cup thing from her body, she just kind of looked like a small child dancing on a stage to her parents' records. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't great. So on one hand, yeah, I can definitely see why Ru eliminated both of them. However, it does feel like a little bit of a slap in the face to see Ru not give anybody the win last week and to see him eliminate two queens tonight. I think Ru's trying to send the cast a clear message. Be more like Krystal Versace, or face elimination. Just kidding. But really, I think Drag Race UK 3 is kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. I mean, they were tasked with following up Drag Race UK Season 2, which was amazing, in the same calendar year, while another English-speaking season of Drag Race is airing. So that itself is a huge task, and I think the production team was kind of sitting around thinking, okay, how are we going to accomplish this? Well, we're gonna need no winners, we're gonna need double eliminations, we're gonna need double shantays, we're gonna need to pull out every trick and gig and gag in the book. But actually, I think it's kind of pushing viewers away. I'm kind of like, wow, nothing really matters, does it? Like, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if RuPaul just canceled the whole season. Like, where will this season go from here? Only God and RuPaul herself know. Let me know what you're thinking about all this in the comments down below. Were you gooped? Were you gagged? Who would you have put in the bottom, and who do you think deserved the win this week? As for my hottest hots, my hottest on the runway tonight goes to Krystal Versace, and my hottest in the Snatch Game goes to Vaday. I also asked my patrons to vote for their hottest hots, and for both categories, they've chosen Vaday. See you later. Love ya. Bye. Hi, ugly. It's me, Bussy, and welcome back to Hot or Rat. And today we'll be reviewing episode 7 of RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 3, aka How to Film a Season in 10 Days. Just kidding, but we will be discussing the latest tea, rumors, and hot gossip concerning those ripping 10 days at the end of today's episode. River and Willam had a little back and forth on Twitter, and I joined Alaska and Willam on their podcast where we discussed said matters. We'll also be taking a look at some of the spicier details from River and Choriza's exit interviews, so stay tuned for all of that. But first, tonight our queens were challenged to serve not one, not two, but 3 looks on the runway in the Miss Fugly Friend, You Gotta Love Yourself beauty pageant. And since each queen served 3 looks, I'll be ranking them on how I thought they did as a whole, from rawest rat to hottest hot. Without any further ado, first up, it's Scarlett. Although she is at the bottom of my list tonight, she had one of my favorite swimwear looks. She's giving me Crazy Cat Lady meets Katya's latex swimwear look from All Stars. I love that she took this, what is this, like kind of 50s swimwear type of silhouette and then put a crazy cat face print on it. Brilliant for this pageant. Plus she showed us everything that she could do on the runway, including coughing up fur balls. This look was hot. But for her second look, she definitely is giving Harlett in this look. Now, I have to say I was a little bit confused by the title of this runway category. They called it Charity Shop Chic. So I'm going to be evaluating them based on the word chicness, combined with the pageant being fugly. And unfortunately, I don't think Scarlett met either of those briefs. I think she kind of fell into the trap here of wanting to actually look good for this runway category, which was a shame because I think it would have been really, really easy to just pick out 5 things that looked ugly. With like chicness, I think being second in priority here, I don't know. I do think she looks cute though. It's very Sweet 16 going to like Homecoming or 30-year-old Streetwalker. What are the other? But unfortunately, I do think this dress belongs back on the rack. It's gonna be a rat. And finally, for the fugly but fashionable look that she served tonight, she came out and I immediately thought of like Vicky Pollard, which is pretty close to what she was actually doing, which was apparently kind of giving an homage to Bianca from the British soap opera EastEnders. Remember they did the BeastEnders soap opera challenge last season? Which, by the way, if you didn't catch it, also explains her exit line when she says, "You're not my mother," to Rupaul. It's a quote from the show. Anywho, this look, is it fugly? Absolutely. But is it fashion? I don't see it at all. And because this is a final look in a beauty pageant, this is where I would expecting the girls to be serving full drama, high drag, maybe some kind of gown, some kind of huge ugly dress, you know. Look by itself I think is really fun, but for the category, it's not gonna cross the finish line for me. It's gonna be a rat. Seeing all the different ways the queens interpreted this final runway though really does make me question what their original prompt was for these looks. Because often what the girls are told the runways are going to be aren't exactly what we as viewers hear that they are. For example, Charity Kase in her little exit interview thing that she did said that the Spice Girls runway that we saw as Night of 1,000 Spice Girls was actually briefed to them as a look inspired by the Spice Girls. Anywho, next up, she lives in a pineapple under the sea. Did anyone else get SpongeBob's Pineapple House from her fugly swimwear look? Because that is all I could think about. Her swimsuit is made out of this like diamond yellow quilted, what looks like sleeping bag material, which maybe by itself could have been okay had it been a little more stylized, like for example, with cutouts at the waist to give her a little more like silhouette. And this look does, I think, present a certain conundrum because is it fugly? Yes. But I think the real challenge here was to present looks that were ugly in their own right, yet made sense for the drag character on the stage. I suppose the one benefit to this look though is that were she doing death drops and stuff, she would be fully padded and protected. But for the runway, I'm not living for it. It's gonna be a rat. And for her charity shop chic look, I have one question. Miss Vanity, is the Bussy still running? Because beep beep and that bus driver wig, bitch. Iconic in its own right, I suppose. You know, I think she overall did a decent job here. They had 60 minutes to pick out what was essentially leftovers and bins to style a look for this runway. And of the looks that are presented tonight, hers was more chic than others, like let's say Scarlett's and Krystal's, which we'll see here in just a minute. So I do want to absolutely give her credit for looking presentable in this category. However, I will say I was a little disappointed that she went for that same orange colored dress that we have already seen so many times on her. I would like to see a little bit of variety here. Sue me. All things considered, I'm gonna leave this look at a warming up. And finally, wow. This is one of the most stunning, fugly yet fashionable looks on the runway tonight. I think that this dress is a reference to the iconic Naomi Campbell look, the very same one that Astina Mandela wore an homage to last season. But overall, I love this look. I mean, ugly, absolutely, but stunning, absolutely. Vanity, this look is hot. And coming in third tonight for me is going to be Vaday. Her swimwear look is definitely giving me like a Lisa Frank vibe, which I kind of liked, but is this look fugly? Is it bad? I don't know. It actually kind of just looks like something Ella would wear normally. And while this look didn't make a huge splash, it is presentable and ugly enough that I personally wouldn't wear it. So I'm gonna leave it at a warming up. Now, moving into her charity shop chic look. Definitely looks like it came from a charity shop. Yeah. It's ugly. It is ugly. Woo! It's giving me like sexy secretary that hasn't refreshed her closet in 50 years. So I think she did a pretty good job at it. And, you know, she styled it well. So I'm gonna give this one a hat. And finally, for fugly but fashionable, this look is actually quite a good look, which was kind of my challenge with her first two looks, is like, she really just kind of looks like this is stuff that she had in her closet that she would be wearing anyways. And while I don't think it's fugly, I do think it does meet the level of being in bad taste with the crazy tartan pattern that it has all through in it, with the rouging in the pants and then, you know, the sequins draped across like one side of her body. But something about it still does kind of have that like intriguing, fashionable runway vibe to it. So gonna give this look a hat. Overall, Ella was, I think, one of the most interesting people to watch on this runway tonight because she looked presentable in all of her looks and didn't, I think, fully embrace the ugly as much as she could have. Definitely could have pushed that boundary a little bit further, but overall, I've gotta say, her looks were strong. I think perfectly in the middle of the pack. Next up, Kitty Scott-Claus and fugly fashion taste. For her swimwear look, I think she did a really great job here of creating a character. She was having so much fun on the runway that I couldn't help but have fun with her. The crazy mangled wig that she has on top of her head, the teeth, the silliness and camp of it all was really, really fun. And I think it was absolutely necessary that she had all those little fine-tuned details about this look because kind of like Ella's, I actually don't think it's that fugly. It kind of just looks like something she would wear for a swimwear category. Were they told just to bring a swimwear look and then at the last minute they were told to make it ugly? I think so. Kitty, I'm diving in. This look is hot. And as for her charity shop chic look, I love this look on Kitty. It's so much fun. It's terrible, but so much fun. And like Ella, she really understood the assignment here. She styled this so well, created a character, and I understood exactly who this woman was. This look is hot. And for her final look, is it fugly? Yes. It's hideous. It's terrible. Those oversized, like billowing clown sleeves, the name written across the front of the t-shirt, and then that giant blue like schmucky dress thing that turns into a skirt. Every detail of this is just horrid. And I think for that half of the brief, yes, she absolutely met that. But is it fashion? Not so sure. To her credit though, Alan Carr did bring up that this look was reminiscent of some of the latest Gucci runways. And yeah, I can kind of see that with the oversized baggy silhouette that she has going on. Plus, it is trendy to have words kind of blatantly written across a look. Who was it, I think? Let me look at my notes here. Victor and Rolf from 2019 doing that on those like tulle dresses. However, the look I think ultimately lacks a certain pizzazz and edge that would have actually brought it to a fashionable place. It just feels a little more kitschy than haute couture. So I'm gonna leave this look at a warming up, since it definitely met half the brief, and hey, she served it the house down boots on the runway. And to that last point, what really made Kitty shine tonight was her personality more than anything else. She could have been wearing trash bags for some of those runways, and she probably still would have been this high in my list because she had fun, thus I had fun. Thank you, Kitty. Next up, Krystal Versace. And her swimwear look, she's hit rock bottom. She's giving me Great Barrier Reef apocalyptic couture, honey. I love this look. It's ugly, it's gross, and I was so impressed to see Krystal come out in something like this because she has been, I think, a little too trapped in serving I'm so pretty, I'm so beautiful, and here she stepped outside of her box. She's versatile as hell. I think she absolutely killed the swimwear category. This look is hot. As for her charity shop chic look, I think she did okay. It's a little streetwalkery, as Rue said, similar to Scarlett's, and this look, while it's not very impressive in that it is basically just an LBD, I was gagged, gooped, and shook, I'm still shaking and crying, that she took off her makeup for this, took off her makeup for the next look, and ultimately served us 3 different drag mugs in, what, 2.5 hours? I can't even do one drag mug in 2.5 hours. The gumption, the gall, the audacity of it all. Just for the skill and talent of changing her makeup so drastically from the first to second look, I'm gonna give that a hot. But the look itself, kind of boring. Gonna leave it with a warming up. And finally, real monsters. This runway. Beautiful, edgy, fun, fugly but fashionable. Literally to a T meets this runway category. It was very much reminding me of some of those runways that we saw recently on season 13 for that furry monster category they did. Everything about it is brilliant. The colors, the makeup, the giant tongue, the eyes on the boot. The details of this are so finessed and so perfect, and again, gooped and gagged that she transformed herself so drastically for these 3 different looks. And I couldn't for the life of me understand why not one other girl tonight said that Krystal's look was their favorite look. Could just be me though. Let me know what y'all are thinking down in the comments below. Obviously, I think this look is hot. Now, as for my hottest hots, let's run through those real quickly before we get into the tea and the drama of it all. My hottest hot for swimwear, Krystal. Charity shop, Kitty Scott-Claus. And fashionable but fugly, Krystal. I also asked my patrons to vote on their hottest hots over on patreon.com/BussyQueen, and they respectively voted for Krystal, Ella Vaday, and Krystal. Overall, I have to say I really enjoyed this episode because they took the idea of a ball and then added a little bit of freshness to it with the crazy timers, and it really made me feel while I was watching the episode like I was right there, kind of panicked with the girls not knowing what the hell was going to come next. And while I would have given the win tonight to Krystal overall, I think the judges made a good call in giving Kitty a much deserved badge in this competition because she has been shining so much like in Snatch Game, and it was nice to see her get rewarded. And my least 2 favorite, Vanity and Scarlett, were also the judges' bottom 2 tonight, and I did react to their lip sync over on my Patreon, patreon.com/BussyQueen. That's my members only website, where my patron family gets exclusive member benefits like early access to my YouTube videos, access to exclusive videos, and access to the Bussy Queen Discord server. Click the link in the description of this video to join today. See you there. And ultimately, I think Rue made the right call tonight. Vanity absolutely slayed that lip sync, and Scarlett deservedly sashayed away. Now let's move into the moment you've all been waiting for. River Medway versus Willam. You'll remember that several months ago, Willam was hinting that the production for Drag Race UK 3 was rushed and the mental health coordinator was quitting and they filmed the season in 10 days and all sorts of crazy hearsay. She has since backtracked and then redoubled down on the 10-day statement. Despite the fact that we've even seen evidence in this season, such as like confessionals talking about rehearsing for the next day, that the season wasn't filmed in 10 days. There's no way. And probably due to NDAs, none of the queens were chiming in on this. Or maybe they were just ignoring it, who knows? But finally, I guess River Medway had enough, and on November 1st, after her elimination, she went off in a series of tweets. The first one reading, "Why does everyone and their sister think they know everything about Drag Race and how it works? You're all so dramatic. It's just a fun TV show about drag queens. Stop being so rude and hateful." The next one read, quote, "It was filmed in 10 days. Yeah, and we slept in bunk beds and we're all locked up in prison cells under the studios." Hats off to that one. Of course, that got Willam's attention, and Willam responded saying, "I'm just going off what girls who were there told me and Courtney. Wouldn't be the first time I wasn't factual, but it's nice to have something to tweet about, huh?" And River didn't reply to that, but did finish her series of tweets saying this: "So many misconceptions or things taken out of context and people speaking about things they have no clue about. Just enjoy the show because it's pretty fab. 10 days confirmed. You heard it here first as spilled by River Medway." And we did learn a little more about where Willam got this information on the latest episode of Hot Goss, which, if you tuned in, you heard that I was there for. I brought up that little tweet exchange to Willam and Alaska, and Willam clarified that the person who was giving them the goss was not actually somebody who was on the set.
So I'll tell you where I got my intel, if and we can bleep out the name, but a couple of the other season 1 and 2 girls from UK were at for the party with all the girls. They were all talking about it, and in particular was saying it. I know, right? How to film a season in 10 days. That's where I got the info about a 10-day season, and they forced it because Rue was going off to film something else.
So who do you think got that from, though? Because obviously she wasn't on the set of season 3, was she?
No, but there were season 2 girls there and maybe season 3 girls there. I forget everybody that was there.
Ultimately, though, I think this whole situation is a great reminder that we should all, take gossip and drama and rumors with a grain of salt and to enjoy said tea and drama passively. It's fun to drink, but there's never any reason to go after anyone for, telling a story about what they heard. As for River and Choriza's exit interviews, the tea I have for you from those is that Miss River apparently couldn't do her first, second, or third Snatch Game choice, and that's how she ended up with Amy Childs. And Choriza wanted to do Yellow Mother, aka Marge from The Simpsons, but couldn't due to copyright reasons. She also was pretty vocal about how she felt that she did not deserve to be in the bottom, which I agree with. And even said that looking back at the situation of the double elimination, she should have asked RuPaul to reconsider her decision. Can y'all imagine how that would have gone over? Wow, I look beautiful. Anywho, let me know what you're thinking about all of this down in the comments below. Did you agree with the outcome of the episode? Who would you have put in the bottom, and who do you think deserved the win? And what do you think about all the drama? See you later. Love ya. Bye. How does that Bible verse go? The higher the hair, the bigger the slut. Hi, ugly. It's me, Bussy. And welcome back to Hat or Rat. And today we are reviewing episode 8 of RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 3. Our queens were challenged to overact in Bra Wars, The Vampire Strikes Back, and the runway category was Scene Stealers, looks based on iconic cinematic characters. And we've finally got a top 4. So we'll be taking a look back at how our queens did throughout the season and ranking their performance in today's episode overall from raddest rat to hottest hats. Now, light speed ahead. First up, RuPaul. Girl, what the hell was she wearing on the main stage tonight? What was that? What was that? She's giving me half gladiator, half space age princess, and full-time rat. Next up, Vanity Milan she is. In the main challenge, she is cast as the role as Baby YOLO, a pun on Baby Yoda, which interestingly is a character that she wanted. And I've gotta ask, what is up with the just ahead roles on Drag Race? I think this goes back as early as Vivacious and Darien in that like horror acting challenge they did. And we more recently seen Nikki Doll in a baby head role in season 12. Like, I'm not sure if Drag Race is just being self-referential at this point or if there's like a bigger reference that I'm missing, but if anyone knows, let me know down in the comments below. Anywho, I think Vanity did pretty good, especially for a role that was just ahead and relied on flatulence and burping for comedic effect. Like, she literally defeated the villain in the plot, Ella, with her farts from drinking too much baby space nut milk. Or is it space milk baby nut? Kitty? My only critique is I think she could have leaned into that Yoda voice a tad more. A baby drag queen I am. You know, something like that. Because at times it sounded more like she was just kind of doing a 30-man voice than Yoda. Anyways, this performance was. And on the runway, she is bringing us a look inspired by the movie Babs, starring Halle Berry. Now, there is a lot of good here, I have to say. She looks really pretty, and yes, orange is her color, to a fault. I literally don't know how she managed to find so many orange cocktail dresses in the UK, but girl, you better believe she bought every one of them and brought every single one of them to the runway. Anyway, the orange I can deal with, but the silhouette on this, I really was wanting something a little bit different. Especially because the original silhouette of this outfit was like a full jumpsuit thing. Like, she went out of her way here to turn a jumpsuit into a cocktail dress. And in addition to this look lacking a little bit of element of surprise, I have to say I was slightly confused by the way she accessorized it. I'm not sure where the fanny pack came from or why she's wearing that big giant necklace. It feels a little distracting instead of additive. What is it that Coco Chanel said? Take one thing off before you leave the house? For me, it's my panties. I'm gonna leave this outfit at a warming orange. I mean, like RuPaul said herself, I'm a little surprised that Vanity is still in the competition. But then again, this season is just kind of using Snatch Game rules where nothing matters and the winner is, who cares? She's had one win across the season in the Girl Group Challenge and been in the bottom 3 times. But it's also not unusual to have somebody who's been in the bottom 3 times make it to the final 4 or 3. After all, lip syncing is a key part of many drag queens' performances. So I think it really is a testament to how strong of a competitor she actually is that she's managed to survive 3 of them. And in the third galaxy for me tonight is Ella Vaday. She opens this episode in the confessionals telling us that she is an amazing actor. It's what she does for a living, she says. And she's kind of getting this edit that we typically see of the cocky queens overhyping their skills and then they end up in the bottom. But the reverse happened. Ella turns out actually is an amazing actor. And that didn't actually surprise me because we saw how amazing of a performance that she gave in Snatch Game, and I would say those 2 types of performances are pretty analogous. She played Daft Shader, a name pun on Darth Vader, and the appearance of her character was kind of a mix between Miss Vader and the berries and cream guy and like Lord Farquaad from Shrek. I thought she did a great job. I really have no complaints about her performance at all, but I was a little confused at why the judges were praising the like sound effect it sounded like they added to her rubbing the leather on her outfit. Or maybe the material of her look really was that loud, girl. I don't know. Turns out Ella is an hell of an actor. This performance was hot. And on the runway, she takes us on a little trip to the candy shop. She's serving us orange, Oompa Loompa. I thought this was super fun, and doing something like this is really brave because it's getting really close to like ugly territory or costumey territory, but I think she really managed to keep this her own. Oompa Loompa doopity doo. This look was hot. And Ella officially ends this episode as not only a scene stealer, but a competition stealer. She's got 3 wins now, but interestingly, 2 of them are shared. This one with Kitty, and the other being from the girl group challenge, which is actually quite impressive that she has won such a variety of challenges. I think she maybe is one of the most versatile queens that we've ever seen on Drag Race, and also surprising. She talked earlier in the season about being underestimated by people, and I think often that can be a good thing. Really allows you to sneak up from behind. Ow. And considering how funny she was in Snatch Game, I also expect her to do well in the roast challenge next week. Guess we'll see. Next up, Krystal Versace. In the challenge, she is cast as She-3PO. She was the only queen tonight that I think didn't actually want her role from the outset, despite the role appearing to have been written exclusively for her. She's the, quote, robotic model of the plot, and she is the sort of straight man archetype to Kitty's comedic character. She did look visibly uncomfortable while rehearsing during this challenge, but I have to say, I think she pulled this role off really well, which combined with her runway, which we'll get to here in just a second, is why she's in second for me tonight. It really felt like she was stepping outside of her box, being loud and super present in the challenge, which is really what they were being asked to do in an acting challenge. And for someone who normally is a little bit shy and quiet, at least in the workroom, this showed a new side that I enjoyed. Beep beep boop boop. Krystal, this performance was shiny hot. And on the runway, how many Dalmatians had to die for this look? She's giving us a recreation of one of Glenn Close's looks from the 101 Dalmatians movie. And this is perhaps my favorite runway she's done, maybe my favorite across all the queens from this season. It is drop dead gorgeous. A beautiful not only recreation, but homage to the original. But I also just love an iconic evil villain glamazon, so maybe I'm just a tad biased. I genuinely recoiled when the judges were sitting there like, we expected this. We expected you to look beautiful. And I was like, y'all expected her to look great? Sure. But like a perfect drag recreation of this look? How can you expect that? What are you talking about? And this is something that they kind of keep saying. It almost feels a little bit like they're trying to belittle or humble her. Because at this point, I'm not sure what Krystal could do on the runway to get a little more recognition besides turn water into wine and walk on water. Dressed like an Oompa Loompa, perhaps? This look gets 101 from me. I thought Krystal got a really interesting edit this episode because I feel like we were trying to be sold this narrative that Krystal hasn't been very good at pretty much anything besides runways, and I think that's just not true. Like, sure, she flopped in Snatch Game, at least from what we saw, but I thought she was pretty good in Drag Lexa the episode prior, and she did win the performance-based Dragathon challenge. It's been really interesting, I think, to watch Krystal progress through this season. She started off so strong, 2 wins off the bat, and then has since been chilling in the safe zone. Her track record is not totally dissimilar to Lawrence's from last season, who started off really strong and then went a little bit downhill in the second half. And finally, in my number 1 position tonight, Kitty Scott, another badge. So Kitty actually got to cast everyone, and in a confessional, we hear her say that she's giving roles to people that they don't want or that she thinks they're not gonna do good in, which was a little bit of an evil side that I don't think we've seen from Kitty before. Turns out this Kitty do got claws. She takes the lead, of course, as Barbarella, a pun on Barbarella, and I guess is now officially the second character in the Drag Race franchise to be parodying this name, Delta Work being the first as Boobarella. And side note, if it's been a while since you've seen season 3 Drag Queens from Outer Space from Earth to Uranus, it's time for you to go rewatch it. We are on the lookout for single guys. Anywho, Kitty is in my number 1 spot tonight because of the way she stole the show. I think she is in a league of her own in acting, truly. It was almost like watching the teacher of the class act amongst their students in a school play. She was literally just dancing comedic circles around everyone. A star is born. Kitty's performance was hot. And on the runway, I thought the old lady dropped it in the ocean. Her look is a recreation of one that Kate Winslet wore in the role of Rose from the Titanic. And not to say the movie isn't excellent, because I did enjoy it when I watched it, but I can't say that I really remember the outfits from it. In fact, the only look that I can really think of when I think of this movie is Rose when she's like going, "Draw me like one of your French girls, Jack." Which, now that I thought of that, would have been an even more fun look to try to recreate for a runway. That said, I looked it up, and this look is a great recreation of the one one that Kate wore in the movie. This whole look is really perfected to a T. The hat, the suit, the hair, and I love the attention to detail here. For example, the way that she recreated the pinstripe in rhinestones, and as Michelle pointed out, that reveal was ridiculously stupid, but literally that's drag, and I loved her for that. Kitty, I'll never let go. This look is hot. It's been really fun to see Kitty blossom, although I do think that her star was shining from the very beginning of this season. I just think the judges weren't looking for it. Her runways have been super strong and consistent, if not getting better and better each week, and she's been quite the standout in most of the challenges. It's crazy actually in retrospect that she only won now this episode and last week's, of course being the Fugly pageant. Every other episode she was safe. Overall, I have to say I actually really enjoyed this episode. It was maybe one of the better, if not the best, of the entire season, maybe right behind the premiere. The challenge felt rehearsed, thought out, and was a lot of fun. And it really felt this episode like the editing and Michelle's directing was really focused on trying to help the queens out and give them all the best shot at winning. Could they have sent somebody home? Maybe, but they only had 4 queens left and we're on episode 8 because of all the craziness this season. So what were they gonna do? Go down to a bottom 3 this episode, or worse, like bring somebody back from one of the earlier ones? I don't think so. But who will win this season? Despite all of this season's nonsensical decisions, crazy ups and downs, we actually have a pretty close top 3. Krystal and Kitty's track record is now identical, and Ella is only slightly ahead of both of them. Vanity though is pretty far behind all 3 because of her 3 bottom placements. I think next week's challenge is going to be pretty telling. It seems like they were giving some harsh critiques, at least in the preview that we saw, so I am at least expecting an elimination. Which brings me to the outcome of this episode. There is no bottom 2. Everyone is at least safe, and Ella and Kitty lip sync for the win. Kind of a good little tie-in, I guess, to the very first episode where Victoria, RIP, and Krystal lip synced for their win. And I did react to this lip sync over on my Patreon at patreon.com/BussyQueen. That's my members only website where my Patreon family gets exclusive member benefits like early access to my videos, access to the Bussy Queen Discord server, and access to exclusive videos. You can click on the link in the description of my video to join right now. See you there. But my genuine, honest thoughts are that Kitty won the lip sync. Cut and dry. And I was fine with Ella and Kitty sharing a win, but I really wouldn't have minded if they had just given it to Kitty. Maybe they were scared though that she was gonna win next episode's roast challenge, considering she's so funny and didn't want to give her 3 wins in a row at the very end. Just a thought. And finally, as for my hottest hots this episode, my hottest hot on the runway goes to Krystal Versace. And in the challenge, it goes to Kitty. I also asked my patrons to vote for their hottest hots, and they respectively voted for Krystal Versace and Ella Vaday. See y'all later. Love ya. Bye. Hi, ugly. It's me, Bussy. And welcome back to Hot or Rat. And today we'll be reviewing episode 9 of RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 3. Our queens were challenged to roast themselves and the judging panel, and the Pearly Gates roast on the runway category was, oh my goddess, ethereal, mystical glamour. And we'll be breaking all that down by ranking each queen based on how I thought they did in the episode overall, by rating each queen's challenge in runway out of 5 flames. And then at the end of today's video, we'll be taking a look at and explaining the deleted posts from the Drag Race UK BBC social media accounts, and taking a look at Vanity's exit interview that she did with Digital Spy, in which she shares her thoughts on the season's diversity and what she wants to see from the franchise moving forward. Now, let's turn up the heat. First up, Orange you glad she didn't wear orange this episode? It's Vanity Milan. Vanity tonight in the main challenge had the tough task of following up Ella, which according to Ella's strategy was intentional. And I think Vanity's biggest challenge in the roast tonight was that she had a physical wall between herself and the audience, the podium, and also a metaphorical one in the way that she delivered her set. She actually started off by hyping herself up, talking about how she had sent some of the bitches in the audience home. And generally speaking, from what I've seen in successful comedy sets, both on Drag Race and off, it's typically better to open by telling jokes about yourself and then moving on to the audience or subject matter at hand. And that problem was of course layered with the fact that the challenge of the roast was to actually roast yourself, not hype yourself up. It also didn't help the rest of her set opening had a joke that we just heard in Ella's set about Anubis's name and having the word bus in it. Is the Anu Bussy still running? And then by the time she actually got around to roasting herself about her orange outfits, which was a great idea, it seems she just didn't know how to actually make those jokes funny. She did though, and we have to give her credit for this, have one of the best one-liners in the entire show when she looked over at Krystal, Kitty, and Ella and called them the White Supremes. Overall, Vanity failed to be funny, but for how damn good she looked and the White Supremes joke, I'm gonna give her 2 out of 5 flames on this roast. And over on the runway, she gives us our first golden goddess look of the evening. And I've got to say, waist up, I think this is one of Vanity's best runways. The detailing is immaculately ethereal. The heavy beading, chains, and crown detailing are perfection. There's literally nothing to complain about up top. However, when you look at the bottom half of her look, it does feel almost unfinished. It's like the top part is just so intricate, and then the bottom left me wanting more. Which isn't the first time I've said that. I think to finish this look off, she needed the chaining on the bodice to come down to about mid-thigh, and or to have worn a better shoe, maybe some sort of gladiator sandal pump that went up her leg. Overall though, a solid gold look from Vanity, and I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 flames, which brings her total score tonight to 5 out of 10 hots. Next up, Krystal Versace, who went first in the challenge. Also another strategic play by Ella. She was of course hoping that Krystal would bomb, leaving her a very, very low bar to step over when it was her turn. I've got to say though, as nerve-wracking as I'm sure it is to go first in a roast like this, I think it's actually one of the better positions because the bar is already low. The audience hasn't seen anybody and they're ready to laugh. So as long as you can tell a couple of jokes, you should be moderately successful. And if your name was Rupaul, well, then apparently you thought Krystal was extremely successful because she laughed at every single thing Krystal said. It is very clear that Mother Ru has a favorite tonight. As far as meeting the brief of the challenge, she did spend some time roasting herself and the judges, but all of her jokes were about her being young and a V word and the judges being old and decrepit. And as Veronica heckled her and said, those jokes were indeed getting old. Which was actually my favorite part of Krystal's entire set because even Ru herself jumped in on the heckling. And sure, she was nervous and she lacked a little bit of diversity in her jokes, but some of what she said was actually funny and I think her delivery was okay. So good or great? No, but okay, sure. I'll also leave this roast at 2 out of 5 hot flames. And on the runway, our little Virgin Mary takes her identity one step further by embodying it. And firstly, yes, she looks gorgeous, cinched, pinched, beat for the gods, body 10 out of 10, and every piece of the outfit is perfect. However, my problem here with this look is that we've seen it all before. This look is like if you combined Aquaria's glitterific runway with Yara Sophia's rendition of Gaga's McQueen look, and is almost identical to the look that Jujubee wore on her finale Eleganza look in All Stars 5. And I'm not sure if she directly took inspiration from any of these looks, but I do think it is in the queens' best interest that are going on this competition to heavily study what queens before them have worn on all seasons. Because as a fan of the show, I am looking to these runways to tell me the personalities and individual styles of these queens. I want to see something new, or at least a fresh take on a concept if it has been done 10 times prior. So while this look is undoubtedly amazing, I'm only going to give it 4 out of 5 flames tonight because we've been there, done that. Next up, Loosey Goosey, Vaday, the star of tonight's show, who got to choose the order of the queens in the roast. And what a smart little cookie she is, because I think her strategy played out perfectly. Honestly though, she didn't even need the strategy because she was that damn funny. As the judges critiqued her, she left no queen unroasted. She went after Anubis, Veronica, Alan, Victoria, Kitty, Vanity, and Krystal. It was relentless. But her approach was also playful and allowed her audience to have fun with her as she read them for filth. My one critique though is that she kind of didn't meet the brief. This was supposed to be a roast about themselves, and I think she had one line from my count about herself when she made the comment about not seeing her dad very much as a kid. And she kind of skipped over Ru and Michelle, opting instead for Alan. So I guess you could say she barely met the brief, but it's also possible that she had more jokes that they cut. And I'm not trying to blame the editor or anything, but who knows? But then again, does the brief even really matter when you serve one of the top 5 funniest comedy set challenges across the entire franchise in the history of the show? No, it doesn't. This set gets 5 out of 5 flames for me. But on the runway, girl, is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's the Virgo constellation. I about choked on my own spit when she was bragging about that hair and how it's human and expensive and yada yada yada. And I was like, girl, how about you get an L of a refund on that wig? Which she was appropriately dragged both by the judges and her peers for. As for the constellation stoned bodysuit, I think it's serviceable for this runway. Does it say ethereal mystical goddess? Maybe, but not in the way that some of the other queens' looks did tonight. It was a choice. Ella reached for the stars tonight, but I don't think she even got off the ground. I'm gonna give this look 2 out of 5 flames. And finally, Kitty's got claws, jokes, and looks, which is why she's at the top of my list tonight. In the roast, I think she did overall an amazing job. Sure, she was a little slow to start, and I was scared she was gonna fall into that like storytelling trap, but she picked it up as she went along. And she was brave enough to take a knowing dig at the guest judge, using that pop culture reference database that she has in her brain, which also maybe was a little bit of her downfall tonight and why she didn't take the win. Like for example, Ella kept all of her jokes super topical, which kept me laughing the entire time. And Kitty near the end of her roast started getting super detailed into British pop culture, and I'm sure somebody in the UK that keeps up with all of that maybe thought her roast was super hilarious. However, I, as an American, was a little bit lost. That said, her set felt comfortable, her delivery was good, and overall, she was, I think, perfectly placed by the judges tonight, above Krystal and Vanity, but below Ella. And as far as meeting the brief, she definitely did. She made fun of herself for looking old and haggard, which is a lot further than Ella took her roast of herself. So I'm gonna give Kitty 4 out of 5 flames for this performance tonight. And on the runway, Kitty is giving me Athena, warrior, goddess. She looks like she literally just stepped out of the Hercules Disney movie, which was one of my favorites as a child. I love that the entire thing is flowy. Like for example, the bodice piece, which looks kind of armory, is even also flowy. Definitely tapping into that mystical and ethereal vibe that the queens were challenged to meet on the runway tonight. Plus, she looks damn beautiful and gets extra points for that crown of hair on her head. There's literally nothing that I would do to improve this look. This is a master at her craft. Kitty Scott-Claus gets 5 out of 5 flames for this look. And as for my hottest tots tonight, well, Kitty did come out on top overall because of her strong main challenge performance and extra strong runway. I actually do agree with the judges, and my hottest tot in the main challenge goes to Ella Vaday. Kitty does take it for me in the runway category. I also asked my patrons to vote on their hottest tots, and for the main challenge, they also chose Ella, and on the runway, they chose Krystal Versace. So Ella, rightly so, earns her 4th badge in the competition, and I've gotta say, for any sliver of me that was left with a single doubt about Ella's CUNT, well, it was obliterated tonight with that roast. I left this episode thinking, wow, Ella could do a one-woman show like Bob, Bianca, and Trixie do. She's funny, can command a crowd, and she can work on the looks. And concerning our bottom 2, I did react to Krystal and Vanity's lip sync over on my Patreon at patreon.com/BussyQueen. That's my members only website where my patron family gets exclusive member benefits like early access to my videos, access to exclusive videos, and access to the Bussy Queen Discord server. You can join by clicking the link in the description of this video. See you there. But my short thoughts on that lip sync were, wow. This is the episode that we needed that double save for because both of those girls turned it out. I honestly don't know that I could have picked a winner. However, I do respect Rue's decision though, because looking back at the competition as a whole, Krystal does have a stronger track record, which leaves us that our final 3 queens will be competing for the crown in next week's grand finale. So let me know down in the comments below. Are you hashtag Team Krystal, hashtag Team Ella, or hashtag Team Kitty Scott-Claus? Now, let's have ourselves a cuppa. This past week, the Drag Race UK social media accounts have been getting called out for deleting posts. Here's what happened. The first one they deleted was a post of Krystal Versace, which had her hometown labeled as Tunbridge Wells. And because there was a lot of negative activity in the replies to the tweet version and in the comments of the Instagram post, people were speculating that World of Wonder took it down because of that negativity. However, they did shortly after re-upload all of the queens with their hometowns on the post, this time appropriately labeled as Kent. So ultimately, it does appear that there was no actual drama there and they were just correcting a labeling mistake. However, the next bit of deleting that we saw was a little more controversial. Right after the episode aired, the Twitter social media account posted a screen cap of Krystal, Ella, and Kitty sitting off to the side with the joke that Vanity said about them being the white supremes. And if you saw this with context of watching the episode, you probably didn't think anything of it. However, Twitter had a field day with it because, well, I probably don't need to explain to you that if you don't have the context for the caption, it looks pretty bad. So I do think this post was appropriately deleted. Was the post bad intentioned though? Probably not, but it was a little tone deaf. And I think they were right to remedy the situation before it got out of hand by deleting it. And as for what Vanity had to say in her exit interview. So we brought this up in Hot or Brought, and it's also been addressed throughout the season that Vanity was the only black contestant in season 3. And Digital Spy Spy directly asked Vanity, when the season 3 cast was first announced, there was a lot of criticism regarding the lack of diversity. What are your thoughts on that now, reflecting back? And she said, we definitely need, in season 4, a very diverse cast. But when I say, quote, diverse, I mean, I need to see drag kings, I need to see AFAB queens, and I need to see more queens and kings of color on Drag Race. I think it's very important to showcase that the UK is not just drag queens and white queens. There's a lot of people in the industry who are of color who can give just as much as anyone else on the show. I think it's very important for me to continue that message, and I hope that I've done that justice. There was a lot of pressure on me to carry the torch for everybody. And I 100% agree with everything Vanity said there. The actual drag scene is extremely diverse. I think the bigger task will be for the casting team of Drag Race to figure out how to get these more diverse populations in the drag scene to actually apply, because it is so cost prohibitive to do so. Back when this season started, we were discussing this topic and looked at an interview with Frida Slaves in the UK, who said the reason that she wasn't on season 1 was simply because she couldn't afford to get the outfits to apply. And I think an easy way to improve equity among casting would be for Drag Race to offer some kind of stipends to the queens and potentially kings that apply. Simply put, it's a lot to ask somebody to prepare 10 to 20 looks for a show that they're not getting paid that much for and for which there is no prize money in the UK. It's quite the dilemma. See you next time. Love ya. Bye. Hi, ugly. It's me, Bussy. And welcome back to Hat or Rat. And today we'll be doing a little post-mortem analysis of Drag Race UK Series 3 by taking a look at its IMDb ratings on an episode-by-episode basis and breaking down the nitty-gritty of what went wrong and right throughout the season. Then we'll finish big with a hot or at the finale in which our top 3 were challenged to write lyrics for and perform in the new remix of Hey Sis, It's Christmas, and serve final 3 eleganza extravaganza on the runway. And we'll also be taking a look at Ella's leaked acceptance speech, which aired via the captions on Crave in Canada. Now, let's get this autopsy all started, okay? Let's start by taking a look at the IMDb ratings of each season of Drag Race UK, taken by averaging the episodic ratings within each season. And for reference, these numbers do change a little bit on a daily basis because people are always adding new reviews, but they are current as of November 25th. Series 1 of Drag Race UK clocks in with an IMDb average episodic rating of 8.2 out of 10 stars. Series 2 beats that just slightly with an average rating of 8.3, and Series 3's average episodic rating comes out to 7.1, rounded up from 7.08, the lowest of the 3. And for context, Drag Race Down Under's IMDb average episodic rating is about 5.7 as of right now, and All Star 6's is 8.0. So while Series 3 is the worst reviewed UK series of the 3 so far, it's by far not the worst of the Drag Race franchise. And it's definitely worth noting that Series 3 had some high spots. 4 episodes are currently sitting at an average of over 8.0, which is huge for IMDb. While Drag Race Down Under, for example, has not a single episode over 7 stars. And with all of that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at what happened. I think I speak for everyone when I say that spirits were high after the premiere of this season. In fact, this episode's rating is 8.6, higher than any other UK series premiere. The hometown runways were stunning, and Victoria Scone, the franchise's first assigned female at birth drag queen, smashed it out of the park alongside Krystal Versace, 19-year-old drag prodigy. And they kept it fresh in the premiere with a lip sync for the win. The season had a clear direction, natural storylines, and in addition to setting up a front-runner rivalry between Krystal and Victoria, we had Ella and Veronica going head-to-head with their theater background drama. Scarlett and Kitty both felt like contenders in the campy category of this season. And Kase was there to bring her alternative take to the competition. And so many of the queens represented something unique. Choriza came into the competition a proud Spanish immigrant. Vanity shared her story about her Estonian heritage. River was representing Singaporean heritage. And Anubis, even in their drag name, was celebrating their Egyptian roots. Oh, and Elektra Fence was electrocuted by a fence. Point being, there was a lot of fun personalities and possibilities to look forward to in this season. But it all came crashing down in episode 2, which featured the Peloton Dragathon parody challenge, and it's currently sitting at a rating of 6.1 stars. And I will say, it's pretty normal for the premiere of a season of Drag Race to get higher ratings than most of the other episodes, but the difference in the first and second episode is huge. This in large part seems to be because the challenge felt so chaotic, unplanned, and unrehearsed. Simply put, it felt like the production asked these queens to do way too much in too little time. Which is to say, this is not really a knock on the talent of the queens, but rather on the actual decisions made by production. And out of all this randomness, we see Krystal take her second win, quickly setting her apart as the clear frontrunner of the competition. And unfortunately for Victoria, the writing was already on the wall for her at this point. She couldn't even dance due to a knee injury that she got from the lip sync in episode 1. And as cool as it was, I think, for the fans of Krystal to see her take another win so early, it did feel defeating watching the season knowing that somebody was starting off with such a strong start. Plus, I think we were all watching with extra careful eyes since we were all sipping on some of the craziest gossip to have ever been spilled throughout the Drag Race fandom, as shared by Willam, saying of course she was told the entire season was filmed in 10 days. And if you haven't kept up with some of my previous videos, this was proven to be just gossip and nothing more. But with how rushed everything felt in this episode, it certainly seemed like it could have been true. And this is unrelated to the overall trajectory of the season and fan perception of it, but I can't leave episode 2 without remembering that Michelle, watching Elektra Fence breakdance in her lip sync, said, "What the f*** out loud." Truly iconic. And as we all assumed it would, episode 3 begins with us learning that Victoria had to withdraw from the competition due to medical reasons, which simultaneously cemented Krystal as a front runner, crushed hopeful fans of Victoria, and prematurely closed the story's main storyline without establishing another. I do have to say though, I really enjoyed the runways this episode, and it seems they may have been the saving grace, with this episode receiving 7.2 stars out of 10 on IMDb. Our queens were challenged to serve 2 campy looks, one they brought and one they made there using camping supplies. So Scarlett takes the win here, which arguably also could have been given to Charity or even Krystal. And Veronica Green is sent home. This is yet another crushing blow to the season's storylines. Victoria versus Krystal fizzled out with no bang, and now Veronica versus Ella was dead in the water. And interestingly, we start to see the judges' perception of Krystal's runways and performance in the competition in general go from super positive to borderline negative. From here on out, we consistently hear from the judges when they're talking about Krystal that they expected her to look the way she looked. Episode 3 is also important in Charity Kase's development because I think it proved that no matter what she did, she was pretty much going to be overlooked. She was quietly serving some of the best runways in the competition in the first 3 episodes and received no recognition for them, which sets the stage for the rotten meat that is the middle of this season, episodes 4, 5, and 6. And to be clear, this middle set of episodes is not bad because of anything that the queens did, but bad I think because they represent a chaotic meandering of the storyline with no clear direction. And the challenge in episode 4 is BDE, Big Drag Energy, featuring Baby Spice as a guest judge. It was overall, I think, a great episode. However, Charity Kase and Scarlett Harlett, who just won last week, ended up in the bottom. And for some reason, they're given a double Shantae. And I'm not saying it like that to be shady, but I don't think that lip sync had the same double Shantae quality as, like, let's say, Alyssa versus Tatiana in All Stars, or Roxy versus Alyssa. I think more so the double Shantae represented a pause in the production of the season as the producers were trying to put all the pieces back together and figure out where they wanted things to go. And because Harlett was in the bottom here, they either had to eliminate Krystal's only track record competition, or someone I'm sure they knew the fans would love. And the other weird thing this episode, of course, being that Charity was in the bottom, heavily critiqued for her look, despite even Baby Spice saying that Scary Spice would love this look. Remember that the runway category was Night of 1,000 Spice Girls, so in that context, it may not have made perfect sense. However, Charity Kase did let us know in that Tia Coffee exit interview she did that the original runway brief was actually inspired by the Spice Girls. Regardless though, I am glad they didn't send anyone home this episode, and they had the freedom not to, considering they were already a girl short. But that episode led into one of the most WTF episodes of the entire series. In episode 5, RuPaul challenges our queens to write adverts for a new product called Draglexa, another technology product parody, which was, like the Dragaton one, poorly thought out because this time it meant that one of the queens had to voice the robot and thus not be on the screen, or the queens had to awkwardly take turns being the voice of this robot physically. It was strange. Ru's critique for everyone though was that she just wasn't impressed with either team, saying that no one was original and she'd seen it all before. And like, this being what, the 7th season of Drag Race that she has personally judged this year? Yeah, I'm sure she has. But that's beside the point. Ru definitely could have easily given and justified a win for the people on Krystal's team. However, that would have meant another win for Krystal as team captain, or a win for the entire team, also giving Krystal another win. So instead they throw Scarlett and Charity into the bottom two. Scarlett seemingly because she was the team captain of her group, and Charity because she was the team Oh no, wait, Krystal was the team captain of her group, but Charity is in the bottom, apparently because she wasn't giving enough versatility in the competition, despite giving a glamorous look in that main challenge, and in addition to her serving her unique alternative take on drag on the runway several different times, also giving more traditional looks on two of the runways, the campy and orange ones. It just kind of felt, as a viewer of the show, the judges went out of their way to keep Krystal out of the bottom. I think they simply couldn't risk losing the front runner of the competition to a lip sync, and having already had Charity and Scarlett in the bottom last week, a redo of that kind of made sense and felt a little dramatic. But I think the ironic part of them two in the bottom again was this lip sync felt a little more like a double Shantae than the last week. Anywho, Charity, who I think was becoming a fan favorite, was eliminated, and we were all left with more questions than answers. The IMDb score of this episode was only 5.9, which sounds low but is nothing when compared to the next episode's score of only 4.1, the Snatch game. And for context, just so you know how much people did not like this episode and how low this score actually is, UK Series 1 didn't have a single episode rated below 7.7 stars. Series 2 lowest score was 6.5, and the only episode in the seasons we've mentioned in this video so far to do worse than this one is episode 7 of Drag Race Down Under, which currently has a rating of 3 stars. But as they say, it often does get worse before it gets better. I feel though like we've been talking about a lot of negatives, so I do want to quickly highlight how amazing Ella and Kitty Snatch Game performances were this episode. The Microwave, Gemma Collins, stellar performances from both of them. And we finally see the storyline of this season progress a little bit further, with Ella getting her second win, putting her on par with Krystal. However, as they establish Ella as Krystal's new track record rival, they do continue to leave Krystal in the shadows. Despite her getting critiqued for a less than stellar Snatch Game performance and a repetitive runway, we don't see her in the bottom. And I'm not necessarily saying that she should have been in the bottom for this performance, I'm just saying that the critiques did not match the performances, which did not match the placements in the episodes. And instead of Krystal's Charity Shop Sue landing her in the bottom, we see River and Choriza lip syncing. The only two queens who we saw Ru ask to change their Snatch Game in the workroom that didn't. And then, the biggest shocker of the whole season, they're both eliminated. I, and I'm sure many others, were sitting there thinking, what in gay hell is going on here today? Because on one hand, the double sachet felt a bit justified. I don't think River or Choriza lip synced for their life. However, it kind of made this season feel like nothing really mattered. But I think the 4.1 on IMDb rating for this episode says more than I could say in 1,000 more words. So let's move on, shall we? Fortunately, I think Series 3 finally finds its footing in episodes 7, 8, and 9. And the IMDb scores for these 3 episodes, I think, represent that. 8.4, 8.2, and 8.9 respectively. And while they were great, I do think there were some interesting loose ends that they were tying up from those previous 3 chaotic episodes. In particular, with all of the chaos going on, we kind of saw this rivalry between Vanity and Scarlett start, which sometimes felt fake and other times felt real. And other times it felt like it was Scarlett versus everyone. She was kind of getting a bit of a villain edit, which I think may have been a little over dramatized because there admittedly was not much dynamic interaction between many of the queens. Girl, the editors and producers took full advantage of when Scarlett left untucked to process everything that was going on in episode 5. Anywho, real rivalry or not, the one talent stuff between Scarlett and Vanity is finally resolved in episode 7, which did feel like a bit of good payoff for us, speaking in terms of storyline. And this episode's FUGLY pageant win was given to Kitty, which I do think represented an important storyline development, giving us a true third contender for the crown, speaking strictly just on track record. And moving into episodes 8 and 9, I can't say that anything was super surprising, but episode 8's acting challenge was great and was maybe the best episode of this season up until that point, but it also wasn't a shock that nobody was sent home. I mean, we were already a girl short going into episode 8, and it's not like they were gonna do anything less than 3 girls for the grand finale. So who'd didn't see that coming. We did, though, continue to see the almost put down of Krystal in episode 8. The edit made me feel like they were trying to set Krystal up as a bad actor, seemingly using the failure of anybody to gain a win back in the marketing challenge as the reason for her potentially not going to be good in this challenge. Which I think, instead of an actual depiction of her talents in relation to this challenge, was more of a tool to focus on the continued success of Ella and Kitty, who did share the win this episode, which I will say felt a little strange. This was like the 4th time in this season that Rue/the judges failed to pick someone. There were just, I think, too many double shantays, eliminations, and now wins. Kitty, I think, should have taken the win solo here, which also would have evened out the track records a bit. And then the roast goes, I think, exactly as we all expected it to. Ella and Kitty smashed out of the park, and Krystal and Vanity lip sync. And as great as Vanity's lip sync was here, I think it did make a lot more sense for the judges to keep the contestant with the higher track record that hadn't been in the bottom 4 times at that point. Which brings us to the grand finale. However, despite the past 3 episodes' stellar audience reviews on IMDb, the finale is currently sitting at an average review of 5.6 stars. Ella and Kitty both entered the finale, I think, as rising stars, obvious contenders for the crown, both having 2 wins in the past 3 episodes, Ella having a total of 4 and Kitty now a total of 2. And Krystal was entering the finale from the bottom 2, having been without a win since episode 2. And it felt like the judges had spent so much time critiquing and not being impressed with Krystal in episodes 3 through 7 that it just didn't seem likely for Rue to give her the crown. But let's go ahead and break down what happened. In the Hey Sis, It's Christmas remix, I've gotta say, oh my god, all 3 queens absolutely killed it. The choreo and the verses they wrote. Was the choreo perfect? No, but it was extremely ambitious, and I was proud of each of them for doing their own thing. Let's start with Ella's verse, who had me shaking. She belted that verse with a musical theater punch that left me on my ass. Plus, she looks stunning. Hey, we're under the mistletoe. Came to prove myself to you, ho ho ho. Come on and jump on my sleigh. Have Elva Christmas with Elva Day. And Kitty's was perfectly campy, silly, fun, ridiculous. Pull my cracker, it's your favorite kitty. Scott-Claus is the name. Always blonde, what a fitty. 1,000 voices in this busty queen. Stella, Gemma, and even Nadine. And Krystal's. Wow, I watched hers back a couple of times because it was not only classic bitch track, but perfectly captured her essence. Get crystallized at Christmas time. All these other girls better get in line. It's Krystal with a K, go straight to the V. It's time to party with Miss Versace. The rhyming was just awesome. All 3 verses and performances get hats from me. But as for the runways, first up and my least favorite tonight is Ella Vaday's. She does look pretty, sure, but the dress was a misstep. Something about it didn't quite fit or feel finished. The shoe was off, and really the styling wasn't fresh, which I think represented a bigger problem with a lot of Ella's drag that we saw on the runway. Because as talented as she is, and y'all know I love her, I said she should have her own one-woman show last episode, I think she has yet to develop a distinct style in drag or even stage persona. And for amazing as she did throughout the entire competition, I just kind of left this season not truly understanding her perspective or knowing who she is. But I have no doubt with time that she'll get there. This look though is a Next up, Kitty's got natural beauty. The judges really were not lying this week when they told her that she just got more and more beautiful every week. She looks like one of those princess dolls that would pop up outside of a music box and just twirl around. And I think this look perfectly showcases her many years of experience in drag and attention to detail. Kitty, this look is hot. And finally, there's glamour, and then there's Krystal Versace. Wow. Krystal is a queen that constantly impresses on the runway. I think she did consistently prove that she's a great lip syncer. She's a decent actor, and we knew this verse and performance would be good because she did great in the BDE song. Has she perfectly harnessed all of her powers? Maybe not yet, but what she has is magical and inspiring. On legs. I think this look is absolutely hot. And concerning their final 3 lip sync, well, I did react to that over on my Patreon at patreon.com/BussyQueen. That's my members only website where my patrons get exclusive member benefits like early access to my videos, access to exclusive videos, and access to the Bussy Queen Discord server. You can join by clicking the link in the description of this video. See you there. I don't ever put too much stock into these final 3 lip syncs where there's more than 2 queens on a stage lip syncing, but for what it's worth, I do think that Ella seemed a tad checked out here. And I don't know if that's because of something we didn't see behind the scenes, or maybe she felt a little bit defeated because she was the only queen that got critiqued for her finale look. And I thought Krystal and Kitty both did a great job. And that's my final thoughts about this crowning. I was so shocked. I genuinely did not anticipate that Rue was going to crown Krystal. But when you look at what happened in this episode, I think it's clear that Krystal won this episode. And I think winning the finale is super important in the decision of who's going to win the season. Anywho, Krystal wins, which I think explains the 5.6 rating of the finale on IMDb. However, though, I really don't think that's warranted because the episode overall was great, and I think Krystal's a deserving winner. In fact, I think they all would have been great winners. This win, though, is not totally dissimilar to what happened with Lawrence last season, who had a great showing in the first half of season 2, but didn't do so great in the second half, where Bimini excelled, leaving the fan base sort of confused because they had Bimini winning so fresh on their minds. And as strange as it was to see the judges going so quickly from loving Krystal to being critical of Krystal, I do think it was kind of necessary that they make that switch because they needed to find another front-running replacement for Victoria. They needed to fix storyline issues, and they kind of needed to distract with crazy Shantays and eliminations. It's not right, but I guess it's okay. And all things considered, I don't think we can be truly surprised that Krystal won given how enamored Rupaul was with her. She shared in her reaction to the crowning clip that Rupaul actually took her aside and told her how amazing her performance was at one point during filming.
And after the lip sync me and Vanity did, she took me aside off camera in the workroom and she spoke to me and she was like, I just want to let you know that that was incredible. And the way you told a story with your body is amazing. She was like, I'm literally gagged. I can't believe it. And I was like, okay. I've not told people that, but that I was gagged.
But agree with it or not, I do encourage you to please be nice to all the queens. This was a crazy as hell season, and it wasn't their fault that all of those crazy decisions were made, so tell them you love them and congratulate them, and if y'all are watching, congratulations. And finally, as for my hottest hats of the episode, out of the 3 categories, I'm going to give Ella my hottest hat in the performance, Krystal my hottest hat on the runway, and Krystal my hottest hat in the lip sync. I also asked my patrons to vote on the performance and runways, and they too voted for Ella and Krystal respectively. Now finally, let's talk about Ella's acceptance speech. Despite Krystal being crowned on a streaming platform in Canada called Crave, which airs Drag Race UK, they actually aired the captions of Ella's acceptance speech over Krystal's win. In these frames displaying the captions from Crave, you can see Ella Vaday's name right after Ru says Krystal Versace's name. And then the captions say when Krystal is speaking, I would like to just say thank you so much, Rupaul, for having faith in me. It's been one of the most, if not the most amazing experiences of my whole life. And you've changed me forever. And then the captions when Krystal are speaking in the confessional part are saying, I'm an L of a winner, an L of a pun. So that was an interesting piece of information to receive. Gab, thank you for emailing me that clip. I wouldn't though jump to any dramatic conclusions about the winner being switched at the last minute or anything. Or would I? No, we shouldn't do that. But I would assume that each distribution service is given a copy of each winner's speech with captions already completed, and it's likely that a file just got mixed up somewhere. Because for a final 3 or 4 in this situation where they're filming on the stage, they do film an acceptance for each queen. Let me know what you think about all that though down in the comments below. See y'all next time. Love ya. Bye.